voice. Hello, are we here?
I believe we are. I see us. Oh, look, it's 26 months. I hit that button.
That button works. Thank you.
Then I hit that button. And I'm hosting. And, thanks, something that blew Curls' mind when we found out about it as well. The Amazing Devil, their most recent track playlist, Ruin, came out. Jaskier is the male lead in it, in the band.
Oh!
The guy from The Witcher, who's made Toss a Coin to Your Witcher. Like, he has his own band.
Oh!
And she knew that he was the same, like, his name was the same as the guy. She knew, like, all these people had similars, and went, wait, is that him? And, like, yeah, they all line up. And it just blew her mind. It's like, I didn't, until there was, like, I think it's, like, a D&D stream of, like, bards, like, oops, all bards, where the person introduces him, lists off everything, and goes, wait, he's also that. Hold up. It was funny. Ah, yes, very important. I know. Right. I have the Cinemas 4 Google search up so that I can always refer back to it.
Excellent. I will be doing my usual warm-ups for a while. I have the benefit in that I don't have to actually engage my brain for the first hour.
Yeah. The most I'll be doing is tabbing out and jumping in Final Fantasy XIV.
Still haven't touched it. I haven't touched it for ages.
There's no... Honestly, I'm behind those three.
I'm not rushing. Even when I get into the game, I'm not even really touching story that much because I'm just kind of like leveling classes just because I want to play them more than anything.
Yeah. Stacy's doing the exact same thing right now where she's playing Gwyn. I think she's doing Sage a little bit. Me and her have both, as you've probably seen on the Discord group's chat, we both picked up Red Mage.
Yes.
Red Mage is the best spellcaster. I don't care. It is insanely fun.
You haven't played any of the other spellcasters!
No, they don't know that.
You haven't played any of... I know that, you fuck! You can't lie at me. I know you haven't played any of the spellcasters.
No, don't call me out the street. They don't know that. But even that where, like, it has its rhythm of white to black, white to black, white to black.
Yeah.
Using your combos, it's
yeah.
So
I picked it up and it looks like it does have potential. Like, it's a similar vein to a lot of the classes that I do like. It's only slightly more complicated because of the red and black balance, but that's probably something that I probably get more with just a habit than anything else. But obviously, I've not really got around to playing it. But yeah, I also have Red Mage. At this point, it's a null and void thing because, as I've said several times, I've picked up every class at this point except for the two that are expansion locked to me.
Yeah. That is the thing to say though, is that Reaper, having played a little bit of Dragoon, of course I've not played it up to your level. I way more enjoy Reaper.
Carl said that Reaper was very much a similar vein to Dragoon.
It is. They're both they're the pseudo, like, I don't say pseudo tank because that doesn't exist, but like you have the monk and the rogue as the agi build. These are the two strength build DPSs.
Yeah, they are. I kind of think of them as as mid tier melee, in that you've got tanky, literally they're medium armor, in that you've got your tanky metal plates, you've got the medium tier Dragoon and Reaper, and then you've got lightweight rogues and monks. They're the mid tier.
I will say there is a distinct style of ASMR you will get from, you know, like I think it's called Bloodthirst or something similar. It's like a bloody-handed icon, which whenever you deal damage, it heals. Doing that with Reaper is insane because of you have, like, you've got several abilities which are actions, so you know you can use them outside of your global cooldown, and later you get a actioned cooldown similar to, like, it's got its bar and it's got its burst for it, and one of them you do at the flank and one of them you do at the side, but then you get another which is your combo of your bar expenditure for AoE, and just seeing those stacks along with your AoE combo stacks of just like you can see like a AoE buff coming out or a massive nuke coming out, and just the Reaper is up back at full health. It's like the Reaper and Warrior have silly self-sustain, except the Warrior has a lot more.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it too much, but from what I understand, Warrior's main way of tanking is self heal, as opposed to other tanking classes where it's just like it's Paladin, just stun lock them so you don't take damage and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dragoon's had a little bit of revamping, but because I'm not at max level yet, I haven't unlocked what that major revamping is, because my gauge that I used to have to maintain, I do not presently have anymore. At my current level, I do not have a gauge. But I have seen screenshots of like, level 80, 90 Dragoon, and it has some kind of gauge on it. So there is something that has to be done at higher levels. I just don't know what it is yet.
Oh, yeah. It's there somewhere. Yeah, they've everything I've seen that they've revamped. I haven't seen anyone say I've been revamped and got fucked over by it, which is an excellent thing.
It's a good thing. Yeah, we like to see it. Let's move that off the back of my chair for now. There we go.
Like, you're talking about stuff in the back of your chair. I had this Batman morning robe, which has the hood, which goes over with the eye slits and the little points and all.
Nice.
On, as I was called for something this morning, and I said, listen, it is 8 o'clock, I have a cup of tea there, I am tired, I am in the onesie, what can I do for you? Or I'm in the morning robe, what can I do for you? And he said, I fucking envy you. Because it was a guy who used to work with me on site, who was up at 6 to drive over to site, and I'm like, I rolled out of bed at 7:30, my man fucking hate me, I got a comfy one, I ain't letting it go. But yeah, seeing people just like watch me from a window as I'm like walking the dogs around the green outside in the morning.
Yeah. That's the benefit. That's the benefit of like you can go out and walk dogs. It's one of those things that I've spoken about on stream before, where it's like things that I've learnt in lockdown. I want to have a place with a garden. Hoo boy! As much as I can happily sit and play video games all day, I can tell that my body wants me to go outside and have fresh air and have sunlight. And it's very hard to do on the 3rd floor of a flat because there's no balconies, and if I want to go to the garden, then all the other flats can see me, and I don't like it.
That is very fair. We have a frog in the chat.
Hello.
And I don't mind starting the combo on what I had as a broach topic.
Go for it. Get the train rolling.
So it's something I've realized because. And I ask you as well, just so I won't spoil the actual show because, of course, people here haven't watched it. But have you seen anything of season 2 of The Witcher yet?
No.
Okay. So you watched the first season, did you, or am I mistaken?
About half of it.
Okay. So the first season establishes the world's very, very core rules.
Mm-hmm.
That it's low magic. That anyone who is very high magic, there's very select few of them. They're very powerful, very dangerous. People are paranoid about them.
Yeah.
But when there's someone who can do more than that, it is seen as a big thing. They don't lightly sell it. But that's the rules of the world. Like, there are rules, it doesn't break the rules, and people who are intelligent in characters, or like have enough knowledge to go, that is a base rule. Shit, this is happening in this way. We have to counteract it. Let's figure out how we do that. Like, I guess it's the kind of thing of I've watched a lot of narratives lately where people have not been stupid. They've just not had knowledge because things have changed on them. But it's not been done in a aha gotcha, like how I'll draw it into it because it's a narrative we don't mind spoiling, but World of Warcraft at present, where they've been like, this guy's been the villain manipulating all these people the whole time, and it's like, no one cares because you did not build it. You did not explain it.
The surprise! It came out of nowhere. Cool, because it came out of nowhere, we don't care.
We don't care. We won't care if you do it like that. So, like I'm not gonna spoil by it, but anything that FF does do this is now the development is in character. Like,
yes.
Whoever is instigating the development, it's in character. Even when you even when you have to have the character explain later, like you may encounter someone and later on you find out more about them, everything they do, you go, you make sense.
Yes.
Your narrative makes perfect sense why you would think this is logical. Whereas we see narratives where things like Sylvanas just wanting to kill everything rather than just being like, I'm going to harbor all the people who have been, thrown out of societies. Like the undead was the easiest one for her because of course they all had that in similar.
Yeah.
They were once these people. They were all being hunted or they were persecuted, and she took them in, and she had the most devoted followers in all of Azeroth as a result. Then she decided just to burn everything down, but they never explain it in the game. They may have explained it in books, but you explained it in a separate narrative.
Yeah, it's like you can't this is one of the problems that I have with like video games and their lore, in that I like video game lore a lot, but when you start dividing it amongst different mediums and you don't explain that in any way, then then you can't expect people to remain engaged. Like, fair enough, have a game and have a book about the game and reference that book, but if there's stuff that's important in that book that is important to your game, you need to reiterate it in the game. You can't just assume that people have read that book, because they won't.
No. Like, there's like one or two things I know they did, but it's like side written pieces. Like, I think there's something like, I forget its direct thing, but it's like an unsent letter from Haurchefant to the Warrior of Light. Because they emphasize that in it, that Haurchefant and the Warrior, like, they do care about each other, and maybe there was something more. You choose which, like, your pronouns are when you go in so that it refers to you properly and so on.
Yeah.
But it's a small, short thing. It does not affect the narrative. It does not, like, it doesn't say Haurchefant and you were lovers and you have a child somewhere. It's like, no, maybe they had more feelings for you. And the narrative ends with, like, the Warrior of Light looking at the courier who's giving this information to them, and the courier gets the idea that the Warrior of Light already knew, conveying that you know what your attachment to Haurchefant is as
Yes.
a character. Is he your friend? Is he like a brother to you? Did you love him? You know. And they don't dismiss that of you. They just give you additional to play with. That's
Yes.
good.
Yes, like that.
Making like Juan Samdi's redemption arc fall into a book of like, actually he's been saving troll souls the whole time. It's like, do you think that could have been the most interesting narrative of like Sylvanas trying to take King Rastakhan's soul and give it to the jailer at one point, emphasizing the jailer in the expansion before, building on him.
Yeah,
like,
don't you think that's something important that, like, especially, a very large chunk of your fan base, i.e. all the people who play trolls, would have been interested to know that information?
Yeah, or even then, it's like anyone who, like, because in the very, very early expansion, like the pre-expansion cut, like 0.5 or 0.4, whichever it was, from Wrath to Kata, where Vol'jin makes a deal with Juan Samdi. That's the first time we encounter him, and the thing he does is that he's protective of trolls, and he doesn't like trolls who breaks the rule of, you're like pseudo-lichy, and you keep coming back. Nope. Into the box you go. We don't play with that.
We get put in the timeout box.
Have you seen the I think it's on Instagram and TikTok. It's like, there's a box. It has an inscription.
Oh.
It's empty. And you're going in. What he does to him.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Juan Samdi then looks to Vol'jin and goes, you made a deal with me. Let's remember that. You owe me. And could we have tied in Juan Samdi to stuff? Because he's an interesting, fun, kooky character, but because he's like a death deity, he can just show up wherever you want him to. And he's practically unkillable, because how do you kill... I know FF will look at it and go, bet. But wow, you can't really kill a god, a death deity.
Any Final Fantasy game basically ends with you killing gods. So Final Fantasy, but again, coming back to what is within the world lore, that's basically a given in Final Fantasy at this point. Of let's go fight God. That's just Final Fantasy,
So I'm gonna ask you, what do you know about icons. You know, like the primals. What do you know about them?
Oh, Jesus! I mean,
I'm asking so that I don't. I'm not sure when it gets explained. That I think it gets explained with Good King Mughal that they're not really.
They're not
gods.
yeah, they're not. They're not. No, they're not really gods. They're like manifestations from people's belief, and because people believe in gods, they take the form of gods. But
Yes.
Good King Mughal throws that out of whack because that's the whole. Oh well, he wasn't a god. Mughal was an actual like being.
Yeah.
So that was when it sort of became more apparent
And-
of, oh, they're not actually gods, they're just a manifestation.
Thordane, I think it is, in Heaven's Ward, where he's summoned by evil elf Pope.
Yes.
I'm forgetting, but we all knew who I mean by that. He gets summoned by him in that way, so they're not just deities, but they're not the actual deity. So in FF, primals existing in this way, and like how they can temper a soul of somebody, but the first time it gets attempted to use on you, you're like, warrior of like Lycanthropy, and you slap the shit out of them because you have the blessing of Hydaelyn.
Yeah. Game narrative should be experienced regardless of medium, e.g. have a side character set in the world of the IP that doesn't interact with the main game narrative. That way the player can still experience the IP, and those who just get a little treat down the line, nothing essential to enjoy the IP. Yeah,
I agree
Frog.
with her.
Also, hi Exy. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do today. I will be doing random Pokemon warm up as I always do, where I just spin the wheel and see what I get. And then
would
after
say-
that, we will see.
When it comes to whatever you might decide to draw later, like, are you satisfied with Donald and Tala?
No, that's also still a work in progress. So
Because
That's
I
on
would
the
say,
table.
Like, Mara or Donald, flip a coin, whichever. If you look at it and say, okay, heads is Donald, it comes up heads. You go, I kind of wanted to do Mara.
Yeah.
Your answer's there. But I'll agree with Stacey, and I'll add on to it because in FF, the most grind I've had to do for lore is like side raid stuff, and it's just world building, whilst also like the stuff at the end of Stormbloods is like a callback to Final Fantasy Tactics. So a lot of stuff is similar to it, and characters and places that are used in reference are similar to it. It's more of an homage to it, but they use it to do stuff with lore and narrative in the actual thing.
Another prime
So-
example is, if you don't mind me saying, Critical Role recently released Kith and Kin, which is you know
Yes.
the book about Vex and Vax. Obviously, we as people know, having watched Critical Role season 1, that's not mandatory to enjoy that. I haven't read the book. I may get it on Audible because it is on Audible, and they got all the people to read it, so I'm actually kind of excited to listen to it. But yeah, I mean, obviously the like reviews are probably tilted in the favour of Critical Role fans, but it does seem to be getting good reviews, so I don't know if that's a case of like, oh, people who haven't watched Critical Role can enjoy the book on its own as a decent book.
That's a fair point that, you know, it would be worth offering to someone to say, what would you think of this, having no context? But the book may also be relying on people to have context.
Don't know.
To answer something about that, I have seen someone talk about it, but they didn't talk about spoilers. They just talked about Vex and Vax's dad, and it's like, fuck, you really want to hate him? Like,
Good.
I know there's probably so many people who are like, I just want, like, to run a Tal'Dorei thing just so that we can go to Singor and beat the shit out of him. Come to kick his ass. As a thing of like, well, yeah, that's a good way to build up someone that people might not like. Like, yeah, besides that, you can appreciate the narrative of them more. Like, I think, you know how Vexalia has the blue feather in her hair? I
Yes.
think in it, they talk about Vax braiding it into for her for the first time. And like, in that way of like, that's incredibly endearing, that's incredibly sweet, and it builds on them more and more and more. And giving stuff that's backstory to Amazon, what Amazon Prime's going to be doing, is even better.
Yeah.
And that is something I can't fucking wait for. 'Cause, I've seen like the 2 minutes they put up of them on YouTube, and it's going to be on Amazon Prime. And it's like I'm probably going to have like a free membership or like do like the trial or something for it. I can't wait. It's gonna be so much good.
Mm.
It's gonna be so funny. But back onto the topic of like the rules of the world and respecting them. It's like, let's say, oh yeah, the gentleman. Like, it's nothing dependent, but it builds up the world.
Yeah.
It builds the world. It builds the narrative, and you care about those people. So when they say, "I'm going to destroy the world," like if they said, "I'm going to destroy the world" in Warcraft, for example, we would think of, "Oh shit, the other player characters." You're probably like maybe Anduin when he was a baby.
Yeah. I mean,
You're not.
my hope is it's one of these things when it comes to CR, in that it's one of those things that they're testing the waters, because obviously the franchise and the business itself is still in the process of growing. So it's one of those things where they get some authors, they write a book, they write a novel. They've written several books at this point. They write a novel. It gets published, it gets good reviews and things like that. That shows that there is potential for it, and they hopefully get more novels written about a wider variety of characters, because I want a Gilmore book, damn it!
You beat me to it. I would. You know what I'd pay for? I'd pay for it.
Give me Sean Gilmore!
I'd pay for a Gilmore short film.
I think we all would.
Like a proper one. Like, we could definitely get one of Essek.
Yeah. I think it's definitely, I think it's definitely a thing, almost like World of Warcraft, in that there are many, many books done by many different authors. As the Critical Role franchise itself has grown and grown and grown and grown, they will hopefully get more people working together, and they will get more content produced, and they will start to get the more niche things, because it's like, for your first book, you're not going to release something about a side character. You do want it to be about the main cast, because you want to grab people and you want to bring them in. Because
and Vex were the two.
They were the two face. Let's be honest, they were the face characters of the party. Because that's the thing. It's like, yes, we would love to have a book about Gilmore, about the gentleman. But I mean, case in point, not watch season 2. I don't know who the gentleman is. I'm not going to buy a book about him. So they have to pick. They have to pick the thing that is most prominent just at the start.
Stacey, I'm right here. What else do you need?
So at the start, they'll pick ones that are good and important, and who knows? Maybe they'll do one for all of the pairs. Who knows?
Crew, yeah.
And then they'll go and they'll do well, it'll probably be dependent on fan feedback.
Yeah. It's one thing though that I've seen, which I appreciate, is every time I've seen something come out, Matt has had to proofread everything. He's had to give it his thumbs up, which is what we need. Everything that's happening in FF is the same few writers, and they've gotten, like, say, a new writer to come in for Shadowbringers, and she's been, like, so well received, because Shadowbringers, I cannot emphasize enough, is the best expansion narrative I've ever seen. Blows the previous two out of the water, and establishes the setting, everything about it so well. It invests me more in an expansion's content than I've seen other games do me in their entirety. And they let her do a lot with Endwalker as well, as a direct result.
Yes.
So she's good. But that's the thing, they've gotten one or two writers in, and that alone has shown me that something like what they've tried to do with WoW, like, say, because you and I both know recently, and when I say recently, like the last few years, they changed a lot of WoW lore.
Yeah.
Like, the Void Scent have always been there. Well, not Void Scent, because that is actually Shadowrings, but the Void has been there always as like a contestant to light magic and all this other stuff.
Yep.
Trying to build it. And then we have, like, light also being a corrupting element, even though light has always been seen as benign prior to that. And that's them directly trying to snick things off of, in my opinion, off of Shadowbringers, who looked at the idea of, what if we did light? And what if we did it like this? Because in FF's lore, in FF14's lore, light is not good. Because Umbral, which is like the black magic, and like darkness, is creation magic as well. It is an active of change. It's not stagnation. light tends to be more stagnant.
Yeah, that's what I learned in Jesse's lore videos
Yes,
that he
yes.
posted before when he explained what exactly Umbral and Astral were. He was like, one is growth and one is, yeah, as you said. Just repeating what you said. Random Pokemon time!
Poke time! Like, anything that happens in this story matches up with stuff that happened previously. Even if it's like a minor thing from a previous expansion, like, no, that was emphasized. That means that carries on. They don't try to retcon themselves.
Typhlosion.
Ooh! The Golden Boy.
A good boy.
He isn't a Feraligatr, but I appreciate him.
Same, basically.
It's like I look at the starter 3 and it's like, I love you all, but you're trying to compete with a crocodile.
Yeah.
You're not winning.
Gen. I know everybody has their own opinions. Like, I literally heard people being like, "Oh, Gen 4 has the best selection of starters." I'm like, in my opinion, Gen 2 has the best selection of starters. I would be happy with any of them.
Yeah.
Which is a rare choice. Pretty much in every generation, I have like an apparent one that is my favorite, and in some of them there is even where I'm like, that's my least favorite. But Gen 2, I would be happy with any of them.
Cyndaquil, cute starter, comes into like this burning hot awesome guy. Cyndaquil, tiny little helpful green baby that is also angry and will headbutt a motherfucker. And then you have Totodile, because let's be real, every time he came out in the anime, it just
yeah, the anime did a lot. I can't spell Typhlosion even though it's on my fucking screen. The anime did a lot to solidify Totodile's personality.
Yeah, and that emphasized to everyone else, like, I like Totodile now. Totodile favorite boy. He angry, he go bite. Yeah, they're all great. I'm a sucker for the original 3 because I like Artillery Tortoise, I like Giant Leaf Dinosaur, and I like a fucking dragon. But the other ones are also really, really good. I do think that there are some gens where I'm like, I'm not going with the Sun Wukong monkey. I know it's Curl's favorite, and I appreciate that it is, but I've got an Emperor Penguin over here with attitude.
It's an Emperor Penguin with a trident beak based off an icebreaker ship.
Yes.
And also, Frog, I would say that's not a controversial opinion. It's quite a common opinion, actually. A lot of people think that they are more over-designed in modern generations.
Yes. I would agree. Like, it's almost what should be some things, like, if they carried on the idea of Mega Evolutions, what is Mega Evolutions for some Pokemon, or what is the final evolution of some Pokemon should be the Mega Evolution of their final form.
Yeah.
Where it's so extra.
Yeah. As you see, Mega Evolution and Dynamax, especially because, they did literally apply them back to the first gen, is literally them going, okay, but what if we designed the first generation as we do modern Pokemon? So, Mega Charizard is basically what Charizard would probably look like if it was a Gen 8 starter and not a Gen 1 starter.
What if Digimon?
Yeah.
And then we have, like, Return of Fat Pikachu, Glory Be to his mic.
Chonkichu!
Chonkichu.
Pika! Return of the Chonkichu. Yeah, like, since we're on the subject, since talk about Typhlosion, because Typhlosion is going to be, in theory, one of the starters for Legends Arceus, because you get Rowlet, Cyndaquil, and Oshawott. There is a theory going around the community that even though the game is out next month, we have at no point seen any screenshots, trailers, or written dialogue to indicate that you get a Quilava or a Typhlosion or whatever. So people think that there is new form evolutions for these starters in Hisui. Because the theming that connects those 3 starters, we've all heard before, is, you've got the Samurai Ossa, the Archer Owl, and Typhlosion is based off a Badger yokai that's also like a general, is what Typhlosion is based off. So, which fits the setting of Hisui, ancient Japan. So that is a fan theory at the moment, that the reason we have not seen them in any of the screenshots or things is because they're going to have new forms.
Which is an excellent concept, because they were able to test the waters with, here's what this Pokemon is like with this different form. What I would actually like is if they show people how to get, like, rather than doing like, oh, in this edition, you will only get the evolved forms that look like this. Rather, I would prefer if you could train them so that you either get the base one or the new one, and you could choose which way you want to go with it.
It depends. It depends on what they're defined as, because there's basically either something is an alternate form or it's a regional form, and if it's referred to as a regional form, then the prerequisite is basically you have to be in that region, and that is the prerequisite. You get Alolan forms in Alola and things like that. So if they make them regional forms, which they've already revealed, because there's a regional Zoroark and the regional Growlithe and the regional Voltorb. So if they're regional starters, it will be a case of you can only get them in this game because it is this game that you are in the region.
Yeah, I get you. That makes sense as well.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm just a sucker for, like, if you could give people diversity in how they involve Pokemon, suddenly that's gonna be a massive boon to, like, creativity.
Yeah.
Because maybe you don't want, and this is heresy coming from me because I love Cubone, maybe you don't want the Ghostfire Cubone, maybe you want the ground one. For
Alola. Yeah.
Like, present the option, and it's gonna let people get very creative.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Because that was one of the things of, like, in Sword and Shield, is there was Galarian Ponyta, which was psychic type, but there were some people who were like, well, we want regular Ponyta, how do we get it? And it's like, well, it's a little, there is a way to get it, but it's kind of tricky because, you know, if you breed a Ponyta in the Galar region, it will be a Galarian Ponyta. So there is a loophole, there is, like, a specific method you have to do, and you have to know it. You have to, like, have an Everstone, and then you need a Ditto, and things like that. But just generally out in the wild, it's going to be a Galarian Ponyta because you're in Galar.
Yeah, there's a lot of options with it. It could be a lot of fun, in my opinion. It could be. Like, no matter what, I'm going to play the fuck out of that game as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
Kind of burnt out on the other one, but that's not a burnout of it, that's because Final Fantasy exists.
Yeah, it's not that you don't want to play it, it's that you want to play Final Fantasy instead.
I have the wonderful complaint, the first world privileged complaint of saying, look at all these wonderful games that I have in my possession that I can buy with money. I just want to play them all at the same time, and I have too few hands.
So that's the thing of, like, because of scheduling and stuff over the last month, anytime I've had free time that I could feasibly play Final Fantasy, the queue has been too big. I log in and it's like, oh, you're 2000th in the queue, you'll be able to play in about an hour. Cool, I won't be able to play in an hour, so I'm not playing it.
Yeah.
So, been playing the Switch, went back and played an old game that I absolutely adore. I haven't played it in probably about 10...
Go on.
I probably haven't played it in about 10 years. And I've had it on Steam for a very long time, and I think in my brain I told myself that I would stream playing it because I loved it so much, but it was literally, like, late at night, and I was like, I just want to relax. I don't want to bother with Final Fantasy Q, and I didn't feel like playing Pokemon, so I was like, screw it, it's installed. I literally installed it when I got it, and then proceeded to not play it for like 3 years. I'm gonna play it, and literally within the first 10 minutes of, like, loading it up, the music at the start screen, the intro cutscene, I was like, oh, this game is so good.
Well, go on. What is it?
It's so Okami.
Okami.
Okay. It's a gorgeous game. I am going to play it on stream probably far in the future, but now but now that I've started it, I'm just probably going to play this playthrough casually, because it was a good, I'm just going to relax and vibe game for me.
Yeah, you don't need to stream every game.
Yeah. Because that was the sort of thought process of, like, I have loads of games that I want to stream, but the problem is that if I look at every game and go, oh, I won't play that because I'll stream it, I end up with a pile of games that don't get played.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play it casually just for me, and then in however many years or whatever, I will play through it again on the stream, because
it's on a log of, like, play it right now casually to have fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I need to stream, or I want to stream something for a few hours. Pop that on and plow through a good chunk of it if people are receptive to it.
Basically, I just need to treat it like Spyro, because obviously I love Spyro loads, so obviously at some point I will stream Spyro, but I've also played Spyro like a million times, and that makes no difference to me. And that was kind of the realization I have of, like, Okami is up there with Spyro as one of my all-time favourite games, but I've only really played through it, like, twice, whereas Spyro I've probably played through, like, 10 times. And I was like, I'm just unfairly telling myself not to play one of my favourite games, so fuck it, I'm just gonna go play it.
Yeah, fucking go nuts with it. Like, especially that concept of, oh, you're not doing something with it, then you should. It's like, it's no. And yeah, what Stacy said there is like, you can always come back, you can always play onto it. Like, let's be real. You have myself, you have Nero, you have Curls, you have Kay. The moment you or Stacy say, hey, I'm going to go do this thing tonight, you have 4 people jumping in going, pick.
Yeah.
Choose your followers. Who do you want as your tank? Who do you want as a healer? Who do you want as a DPS?
See it.
Also, I will say this, is that I've cried at films, I've cried at musicals, I've cried at really good shows, and anime, and cartoon. FF14 has made me cry the most, but it's not done it. What I will always say, it's never made me cry cheaply. Like, it's never just gone, oh, look, cute puppy, kicks the puppy. It's like, the puppy's getting kicked serves a narrative purpose. You know?
Yeah, I get you.
Nothing's ever been done that doesn't feel like it didn't fit to the moment. And it also does do shit that hurts you, but it respects you enough. Like, you remember with Harshaphon when Harshaphon passed.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Heaven's Word. That my father sounds like an ogre in the distance going, "Hurr," or like a thwomp. "Hurr." When he passes, the next few missions you have, the quests, are all like somber, and it lets you stop and process.
Yeah, it's a game that actually lets you grieve, basically, whereas a lot of video games, it's like, person has died, oh no, sad, back to action. Final Fantasy lets you grieve and, like, shows you grieving.
we ain't gotta talk about that, honey. We ain't gotta talk about it. I mean, technically, excuse me, Okar could be counted as that whenever Carl has something big kicked Kala.
And Blue.
Yeah. In fairness, Blue punched first, so.
That was look, that's a genuine conversation that I've had with people during the Agco days of, like, how do we establish that my character is not a nice person? I literally walk into the chat and go, hello, I'm playing a sweet innocent character that everybody loves. Do a mean thing to me. Then everybody will hate you.
Yeah. We now call it the Hurry Alesidor effect. Of, did you look at them wrong? There are 3 people, and like the most noble one about them will feed you to a pile of pigs to make sure your body will never be found. Never mind what the other 2 would do to you. One would probably just eat you themselves.
Who needs pigs?
Yeah. Yeah, who needs Tobias and his guard? Okay.
I can already tell that spending loads of time in VR chat is rubbing off on me in the way that I am moving my hands. Because in VR chat, all I really have to gesture with is my hands. So I do that a lot. And I did it a lot anyway before VR chat was a thing, so it's really exemplified the handiness.
Wait till you get to a day where you actually end up having dots that you can put on to sync up to your face. And
It is possible to do that now.
I know.
There's...
I'm more mean wait until you buy some.
Yeah. Do you see money here?
I do. I see several stacks of it on your bench. You seeing this shit thing? Stacy is doing a Crowley and shouting at leaves. That's what I assume from what you're saying there, hon. Oh god, that's another thing I have to watch when it comes out, is Good Omens 2.
Hell yes.
That's gonna slap.
I hope so, because, you know, unfortunately, a very key component is missing.
Which one?
The fact that Terry Pratchett is no longer with us. Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman wrote the first Good Omens together.
Sorry, I get you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you meant in regards to the actors or.
No, I mean in regards of the writing. Like, yeah. I'm sure Neil Gaiman has probably done a really great job, but it was a two-man job, and the second man is not with us anymore.
Unfortunately, no. But from what I know of Neil Gaiman, he's one of those people who knows. Like, he's got enough self-awareness to look at that and go, I am a really, really, really good fucking author, but I wrote this with Terry Pratchett. Right, you know what I've told you all about leaf spots. Grow better. I never thought someone could give a tree a trauma, but here we are. Winter is coming. So, F6 apparently is the spelling and grammar button in Google Docs, but it's also my push to talk. So they're suggesting I take Ondo a thumb and make it Ondo la thumb, as if those are two names. It's like, no, stop that.
La. La la la. La 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 la.
Lahi.
Lahi.
God, like, he fucking killed me. Like, I didn't expect it because I was on the bike when I loaded into the zone. Like, I loaded in a village, went out, and got off the bike because I had the music on the bike. It sounded like I was fucking there driving, helmet and all. Got off and just immediately, it's like, fuck me. Not even existing.
It comes out of nowhere, huh?
Yeah. I don't think you can understand or appreciate it until you're there, and it just gets you. Just fucking get you. I've lost the energy to draw tonight because I was going to draw something based on a song I've added to Thane's playlist recently.
Mm-hmm.
About family jewels. I think that's what's the actual song. The song's actually quite good. Family Jewels by Marina. The Family Jewels, I should say. It's actually a really good song. I've been listening to some actually like slapping music lately as a treat. Look at this boy you're drawing.
Thank you.
A wonderful friend. Ah, you're having the issue of where is his the tip of his nose for the line to match it.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, it only goes between his eyes, and then I looked again at the reference and I was like, actually no, it goes almost all the way down to his snout. So it goes down a lot further than I thought it did.
was interested in asking Carl's like what Christmas in Amazius looks like, but let's be real, it's called famine for a reason. It's probably not seen as a very enjoyed season. Even in Underthumb, where they're like, yeah, we use this as an excuse to just all go to a meat hall and get fucking drunk for 4 or 5 months until the snow starts to thaw. Yule was created for a reason. Yeah, no wrong.
The goat has burned. The goat has burned. The goat has burned.
Hey Mara, did you know you're the greatest of all time? Yeah, well, of course I am. I'm magnificent. Why? No, because we burned the goat. Come here.
We burned the goat.
Everyone chasing her with hot pokers like, come here, bitch. I'm gonna burn the goat. Oh god. Speaking of villains, Crumble's been in my head lately because of a certain artist we both.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Infectious, really, isn't it?
Oh my dear, you have no idea.
Get out! Get out!
You died in 2020. Fuck off.
Get out! There's not enough brain space for you anymore. You take up too much room.
My dear, I'm a large man. I'll simply dispose of what I need to.
Yeah, so that's been happening for both of us.
Yeah, I saw one they had of like, I think it's like a Haunter and Ghastly.
Yeah, Haunter, Ghastly, and Gengar.
Yeah, where they have like, I think Gengar is like saying, you know who the attractive sibling is, does like a pose, and then like a hand comes out from the shadow, pulls them down, and it's the other one. I was like, that's Crumble and his brother. It's like the brother is like, oh, I'm hot shit. Shadow reaches out and grabs him by the forehead. I bet. Just junk. Like, oh fuck. Now that artist fucking has some gorgeous animation. Like, I'm obsessed with how they design fire. It's crazy good.
Love them. It's garbage day.
To cite my earlier meme, there's a coffin. It's got an inscription. Bastard! It's empty! And you're gonna get shoved! Knowing that bastard, he wouldn't fucking fit. Not because he's too big, but because he'd break himself out. It's something that I've realized as well, is that body type for like a mob boss style villain is always like a really easy default when the mob boss has to be intimidating.
Oh yeah.
Like the most easy example is Kingpin from, like, because let's be real, even into the Spider-Verse went, Kingpin is always fucking massive. What if we leaned too hard into that? And Core, look, I know she's better than me in every way, but shut up. I'm not trying to compete with her. I'm doing my own thing. If I tried to compete against that woman, I'd fucking drown.
She's occupied for the holidays. Tis the holiday season.
Tis the season to deal with family. Visual presence, Silco. Yeah, Silco and Arcane in the Netflix series is a really good comparative polar opposite to that.
Yeah, and that uses a lot of combination. There's a combination of things. Obviously, his design is very unique from everyone, whereas in Arcane there's quite a lot of large characters, so to have him quite small is quite contrasting. He uses a lot of, sharp angles, again, he's very thin, so it's a lot of like straight lines. Music, lighting, color, they all play in this very big role. His very defining feature in his eye and his scar.
Yeah.
So it's all things that cumulatively add together. Character design.
He's a really good character design, but it also emphasizes where his power lies. In that his power does not lie in himself, and it lies in what he sets up. which I think his voice actor was actually on a thing a while back when someone was talking about making Silco a League hero, and he memed on it, going, "It's like, oh god, don't get too close to Silco. He'll talk to you too much." And, like, someone gets in rage and he goes, "Power." It's like they just fall over going,
Ah, stop talking!
this is like,
A full health check from Core.
oh shit. Time to go snap crackle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad I got pushed to talk on, otherwise you'd have all heard that. You'd have thought I just snapped a chicken bone.
Yeah, my Mike picked that up the other weekend when I was in VR chat. I was just stretching and I went, and I went, oh! And literally like 3 people around me went, what was that? And I was like, that was my arm. Oh.
Someone said that to me in work last week, saying, "You know, we can have breakfast around this time. What the fuck was that snap, crackle, and pop?" Because I stretched as I did it, so my back and my fingers went, because my fingers are loud if I don't use them, if I don't snap them for a while. And he's like, "What the fuck did that come out of?" Yeah, Silco is a really strong comparison because he's not meant to be physically intimidating. Like, he has some excellent intimidating scenes. Like, real, he can get to you kind of scenes. And I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it because I actually think it's worth watching.
Oh yes.
If it's on Netflix.
I haven't watched all of it, so I'm not all the way through.
How far in are you?
How many episodes are there?
I think there's 9.
I think I'm about halfway. I think I'm on 5 or 6.
Okay. So, you know who eventually is going to become Warwick, right?
I don't think that's been officially revealed, but I was like,
Is
I
it?
was like guessing a lot during one of the sequence. Like, I literally was sat on the sofa. I was like, oh, is this guy about to become Warwick? And then it didn't happen, and I was like, oh, maybe it's someone else. And then
Vander, I don't mind saying it because he's only in the first 3 episodes.
yeah,
Like, what's worse is that I watched it and Stacy was in the bed next to me and she had to deal with me jumping when Silk was going to sit, like, "I'll show them the monster you really are," and Warwick's theme played. Like the dun, 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 like his hunt theme and the theme he has like for his like overall played in the background. I was like, oh my god. And later on then when he grabs the guy and like slams them after taking some of the shimmer, you can just hear that growl he uses is literally the in-game one.
oh
And
right.
then-
See, that was the thing. That was the thing of
Yeah.
like, I even though I've not played a lot of League, I was like, there's a lot of signs pointing to this. But then after the bit in the factory when they're outside, I was like, oh, so it doesn't happen. And then I've only watched like the next 2
Yeah.
episodes after that, so I was like, oh, it was hinting at this thing, but it isn't a thing.
If they don't use him, I feel like it's pointless what they did with him.
Yeah, because well, I mean, without beating around the bush, from my perspective, it's implied that he then died.
Yes, but the thing about that a lot of people, myself included, agreed on is firstly, we're Singed because we know he doesn't die because
yes.
he is existing in lore after that.
Yes, we
And
know
it's
we
like,
know
what?
that Singed was in there, and he
Yes.
made that, and that's another thing where I was like, well, that's clearly Singed, and Singed is the guy who made Warwick. So is this going to be Warwick? And then it didn't happen, so I was very confused.
So Singed nearly goes fully MIA. So he and Vander both step away from the scene. If there's one guy who I know from League lore could keep someone alive that long to fuck with them, and also would be able to save their life in that way, it would be Singed.
Yeah.
And Warwick's own lore, Warwick's technically, when Singed is finished with him and considers him a failure, Singed dumps his remains and he gets back up. From that moment, that's his like reincarnation fully as.
Right.
And then he has this interesting narrative where Warwick knows he's fucked up, knows he's a monster, but only goes after where he can smell fresh blood because it's like, okay, I'm in Zaun. If I'm smelling fresh blood, it's probably going to be an actual murderer. And I might kill, because he kills no matter what. He wants to kill. He's trying to aim himself. And he remembers more the longer he's fighting. But of course, very few things can survive him long enough to let him remember properly. Which is why I want Urgot and Mundo to come in season 2, or at least get alluded for season 3. Because Mundo would be the one guy who's practically unkillable in League lore. Of he has like his heart blown off out of his chest in a narrative, in a write-up before he was remastered, and he just regenerates it. He just regenerates the whole thing. Unless you could like decapitate him and burn him all in acid, he's practically unkillable. And he's incredibly big and strong. Him and someone like Urgot, who is like this Immortal Joe style, damn near cultist revolutionary in Zaun, trying to kill Chem Barons. Like, if they ever do show it, or at least prelude to it, what Urgot does with his ultimate, where he like opens up the chest, the hook comes out, or like the spike comes out and straps into someone and drags them into these grinding gears. They'll do it once to emphasize it's a danger, and they'll either use it next on someone like Warwick or Mundo who could break it, or use it on someone like Vi or Jinx and go, no matter how strong they are, they're fucked unless someone intervenes. So who's going to save them in this moment? Because you remember from, because I spammed it like a madman when it came out in late or early of last year, the Warriors one that League did, where they had Vi and Caitlyn fight Urgot. Like, they could very easily pull him into like a season 3 or a season 2, very easily, because he's perfect villain, because he is a fascist sociopath. Very easy to pull him in and just say he's just an asshole. Like, he's not like Silco, because Silco, no matter what you can say about him, and he has his faults and flaws, you can, like any good villain, you can understand why he's doing what he's doing.
Yes.
And good writing.
Good writing.
I also like what they've done with Heimerdinger, where it's like, no, you don't fuck around with magic and science, and it keeps giving flashbacks. And I think what they're hinting to is that he saw Xerath grow to power, and that was the destruction of Shurima, where it's like a mortal person fucks around with magic where they absolutely shouldn't, and becomes so powerful. He's like, nope, 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 we use science. Do not fuck with magic. And he, like, that's why he keeps shutting down anything that messes with magic. And anyone who's desperate, like Victor, who's, you know, Victor has some terminal illness that's gotten worse in like those few episodes you've already seen.
Yeah, I clocked that in the last episode I saw. I was like, he is not doing well. And and I was like, it's very clear to me that he wants stuff to happen while he's still alive.
Yes, but in the way Victor is right now, you can still see him as a benevolent, like, I want to do as much as I can because I know I'm on a clock. I want to help as many people as I can. And he's from Zaun. He says it himself, where he wants to help the people of Zaun. But if these people aren't going to let him help them, what's he going to do? And it's another thing of excellent narrative of, like in The Witcher 2 and in anything I've seen in the end of Stormblood and Shadowbringers and Endwalker, nothing that happens is out of character.
Yeah.
Like anything that involves Alphinaud and Alisaie, Alphinaud always tries to see the better of somebody and tries to reason with them and rationalize with them. Alisaie also fully believes in the same stuff he does, but she's willing to throw hands. And, you know, anything where you saw, like, say, Geralt's mentor Vesemir in the second season of The Witcher, anything that character does is like, well, Geralt's his son, he loves him as one, but he loves all the other Witchers as well as sons, and will prioritize saving all of their lives if he can over somebody else, because they're a limited number of people. You can't recreate Witchers right now, and he will do what he can to protect his family. Anything that character does makes sense. Same with Victor. Victor wants to survive, because of course he does. He wants to help as many people as possible, and he's willing to push back the rules of magic and science to do it. What happens when that determination meets the wall of everything else around him?
Yep.
I'm also glad they're not afraid to just say, like, yeah, Jace is in a shit position, but also he could be doing a little bit better. He's trying, and a lot of stuff he's trying to do is great. Like, yeah, he has certain things, but when something involves Victor, he's like, oh wait, shit, hold on, everyone else, just stop for a second. I realize Victor needs something, because Victor won't say he's got a problem. Or when Jace has the spotlight, he's like, Victor, get up here. You're with me in this.
Yeah, I do like that, because it isn't one of those things of like, oh, you know, this guy is just charismatic and everybody likes him, but he's actually kind of an asshole. Like, oh no, he is actually a good guy because he does express concern for his friend routinely.
Yes. Especially because he's like, no, you were the reason all this happened. You should be up here. But Victor understands that the reason Hextech will sell is they don't see the cripple next to it, which is tragic that he understands that Jace is so much more marketable than him. He is the strong-jawed, handsome, charismatic, brilliant man. He is. Like, he's a poster boy. And Victor knows the best thing he can do is sit in the shadows and let that man do everything. And also, Blue, the reason I was talking about Vander earlier is Warwick was one of my favorite characters for years, wasn't he?
Oh, I know.
I like dead characters before they're even dead characters now. Fuck! Shit! It fucking killed me when I realized that was happening. It's like, he's a dead character before he's a dead character, and I like the fuck. Arcane is doing great in playing properly in gray areas for a narrative point, and it's following what I mentioned earlier about the world is setting up rules. Like, oh, this particular object, this blue crystal, is incredibly volatile, and if damaged, will be very destructive. It's like, okay, several years have passed, and these two scientists have worked on refining it so that it is no longer dangerous. And it's like, oh, that's amazing. But also, we understand from the first time, these are people who made this possible. They're intelligent enough to figure out how to stabilize it. And in these years, we've seen Shimmer getting like advanced further and further as a chemical and getting used more and established more in other things. And like then we find out about these new guys with the Fireflies, I think they're called, or the Firelights, that are like trying to disrupt Shimmer being sold and used. It's like, oh, okay. That means that there are people like either in Zaun or people who are in Piltover pretending to be from Zaun, actively disrupting it.
Yep.
Because they know it's bad. So there's somebody there trying to do some good, but we also know there's corrupt elements, and I don't want to talk too much because I don't know when certain things happen with Silco and like what he does to or shows to characters how easily he can get to them. But he's such a good mob style villain in that you know he's not the danger. The danger is that he's able to, this very well recognized villain is able to get to places he should not be able to, and you did not know he could, reminding you that he can get to you and people you care about. Like, and also the idea of like Jinx and Vi, and like the idea of, well, they could have very easily just made Vi just an asshole to Jinx the whole time, but Jinx hears things out of context. Like she hears that like little chatter between Vi and the other person, where the other kid is giving shit to Vi for it and is or giving shit about Jinx ruining stuff, and he goes, well, yeah, I mean, you're right, she did, but at least she didn't do this and this and this, you fucking idiot. But Jinx only heard
the first bit, yeah.
First bit. And it's the tragedy of, it's like, you know Vi's about to build into the other point. She's about to slap this guy for saying it about his little sister. And they're all a family, and there's some of the assholes, there's some of the reliable ones, they're great characters. And even they're like, knowing that it's like, of course, Powder's going to top up. I did it! My thing worked! Not knowing what she just did with it.
Yeah, it helps emphasize how good the writers are, because they're just using all these narrative tools of, you know, the audience knows but the character don't, and it's like, you know, you can see it coming and it's like, oh no.
But she doesn't realize what she's going to do to everyone else. Like, we've seen what one of those can do. It destroyed an apartment in the first episode.
Yeah.
And it's so destructive that Piltover was like, all right, we're gonna come fucking looking for you guys because we need answers.
Yeah.
Because that should not have been able to happen.
And then she's like, I know, I'll use 3. And as soon as you see that, you're like, oh god, oh no.
She just did the equivalent of a meteor swarm, but meteor swarm that was done in 3 bursts because it went off 3 times. Those 3 times, like each one of them detonated individually, and it's like that guy's fucking dead. All these characters are dying. Like we see these, and I'll give the show credit. It has balls. It killed 2 kids.
Yeah,
2 kids that you learn to like.
Yeah, they were there for a good chunk of the time. It wasn't just some casual of like, oh, this person has died. It's like, no, you know a lot about them actually.
Yeah. And like the scrawnier one of the 2, because I'm forgetting their names, like he gets stabbed through the chest first.
I know,
brutal.
brutal.
And he begins trying to wrench it out. Like he's still alive and fighting. He's not going to go down. And you look up to see the rocks coming down. And it's like, my man. And that's the first time we see Vander go, okay, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you. And he nearly does.
And he nearly does.
Like, he fights the guy with Shimmer down near by himself, and he's fucking scary. And then he loses because we get the call back to his fight with Silco, where he scars him.
Yeah.
In that brilliant thing, because, like, I don't know if he was, like, fighting the other guy with Shimmer at the moment, and had his back turned to Silco.
He did, yeah. In their fight, they sort of did a 180 around each other, so his back was to Silco at the time.
And the knife came out again, and this time it's like, Silco could have backed off, could have saved himself. The knife he had to use last time because it was literally life or death. This time he said, no, I'm killing you. He's making the conscious choice. And it's like, oh, you asshole. And the grip around the throat loosening, and that size difference as well of like, because so often we're used to rooting for the hero against the stronger, more imposing villain. It's like, no, this time it's the villain who's the weaker of the 2, but is using so much dirty tricks because he knows he can't beat him in a fair fight. All of it, its narrative is so strong that I know there's been plenty of memes about it. It's like, the only thing people can complain about Arcane is that people are going to try and play League of Legends as a result of it, and that's the worst thing that the series could make you do.
Yeah. If you enjoyed Arcane and you're looking for more lore, don't look at League, because you won't find it.
Yeah. You're more better off playing the Ruined King game, or playing Legends of Runeterra, which is a card game. And I don't like either. I don't like Riot right now, but I have played, like Warcraft, I played the narratives, I think they're cool, but unlike Warcraft, League just looked at a point in its history and said, okay, we're going to take the fact that League of Legends was like a fighting thing people went and did, and scrap it. We're just throwing that out, and we're going to build new narratives, and we're going to take our time to build some of them properly.
It's like, man, we have all these characters and all this lore, and we don't do anything with it. And it's like, yeah because you're a MOBA, and MOBAs are not designed for telling stories.
They are not. Like, a lot of people are really curious what they're going to do with Shyvana after the Ruined King, because the Ruination had Shyvana turn. And Shyvana was, like, loyal to Demacia. She was presumed, and either, like, she wasn't into him, or they didn't continue it on, but... And bear in mind, Demacia's changed now that it's very much so now a, like, anti-mage, very, it's lighting the sign of, oh, they want to exterminate all people of a certain creed because they see them as a threat. You're going it, but it's mages. They're using mages as the allegory, but they're also, they don't have the balls right now to actually like go, hey, that's really fucked up. Like they have Silas as a villain when Silas should be like the most supported hero, who's looking at, oh, all these people who are mages are being hunted just because they're like have even the glimpses of magical power? That's a lot of bullshit. So what a lot of people are thinking of, which could be, a really good turn of form, is Shyvana is due for a visual upgrade. Because she's a 2011 character, and the last lore she had prior to Ruination, where she gets turned by Viego, who is the Ruined King, is 2017. So this is the first time she's been used, and she kills Demacians. She kills a lot of Demacians before she's like penned down and saved and reconverted. But she killed people. She has a body count of Demacians now. Like, the only thing that kept her safe in Demacia was that she stayed on the outskirts fighting alongside like a dragon guard who all worked to fight dragons who were on the outskirts of Demacia. And the fact that she was maybe at one point a potential consort for Jarvan the Fourth, in that he loved her and still does. It's the show, or the narratives they have emphasizes that Jarvan still loves Shyvana. Even if she doesn't anymore, he still loves her immeasurably. But his father was killed by mages, and the mage seekers are all like in his ear. What amazing narrative could you have where Jarvan has to preside over the chicken, or I forget what the actual term is for it, but like kangaroo court of Shyvana being like tried before executed. If she works with mages or anything else, like there's Silas trying to save her because she's magically infused. She's a magical creature. She's not a human, so they're gonna think her for free. Silas and the other rebels trying to help her. There's Jarvan, who loves her, who wants to save her. There's Garen, who is loyal because his aunt is the leader of the Mage Slayers, but his sister is a mage, and his best friend is Jarvan the Fourth. They were childhood friends. What narrative could you get with these guys saying no to that as a thing, and like have your heroes be heroes in these moments? You could write great shit. Fucking make it an RPG. Make that. You could make the Mage Slayer War an RPG, because we've seen what they've done with like a turn-based combat with the Ruined King games. And
Yeah.
that was it.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. I feel like it was either read somewhere or I heard it in a video somewhere that somebody at Riot had basically said that they're basically going to try to make a game for every genre.
Yeah.
So I assume there will be an RPG at some point.
We could so easily get an RTS between Demacia and Noxus, and then have the other city nations come in. Like, have it start at like one point. Yeah, Total War Demacia would be fucking insane. No, Total War Runeterra, I should say. But let's not just keep it to that. We could do like Age of Runeterra instead of Age of Empires, or any other RPGs or RTS style. Because you could start with like, well, here's Demacia, which is defensive and, you know, nullifies magic, and here's Noxus, all on strength and aggression, but also a might makes right, and if you're strong enough, you can, from wherever you are, take power. Which, honestly, they have things which are cool, so does Demacia, but they're also, it's like, you're both also fascist nations. Neither of you are good. But then you have, like, the Freljord, which are tribes trying to unite together, whilst also trying to appease their ancient gods, so that Volibear doesn't come down and smash another village for being too progressive. Because yes, he does that. He is an asshole. He is one of my favorite characters because he's a giant thunder bear, but he's also a massive bastard.
I'm sure there isn't a theme there.
Shh. I'm a furry. Shut up.
Just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. Join me on VR chat.
Look, I'm very tempted to, but I can't do that until I have my own place. Do you think them motherfuckers would let me get away with a VR headset?
You don't need a VR headset to play VR chat.
No.
I don't own a VR headset.
I thought you borrowed one. I thought you had one.
I temporarily borrowed one. I don't have it now. I had to give it back. It wasn't mine.
Fuck.
I played VR chat last night, but I don't have the VR headset right now.
She makes excellent points.
I make wonderful points because you can have custom avatars. Make your persona. I want to see it.
Look, I'd be a scaly. I'd be a lizard. I'd be a dragon. Let's be real. Like, currently, Stacey's design of DM is the closest thing to I'm not a furry, but I am one. Like, anytime I get a chance to make like my DC UO, my first character I made in the DC Comics MMO was a killer proc style character.
Look, you download VR chat. It's free to play. I meet up with you, I take you to the Fur Hub, and I get you one of the free dragon avatars that is literally on the wall for people to use. It's there for free. Where do you think I got my avatar? Obviously, it's not a 1-to-1 blue, but it is a blue character. I got it off the wall for free. If you want to pay to have custom textures done for it, you can.
This has turned from an art stream and a writing stream into how do we make you admit you're a furry and play in our chat.
Welcome to Blue's Twitch channel, where she bullies her friends until they acknowledge that they are all furries.
Look, Thane watched Tala claw her way out of someone and said that's fucking hot. I'm not gonna pretend. I know what I am. There's a reason I go teeth, teeth, teeth.
Teeth, 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 teeth.
Where was I before I got interrupted?
I mean, on that topic, Fro, because I have gotten into VR chat, I am obviously very seriously considering making myself a custom avatar because I know how to model in Maya. I'm literally just on the fence of do I want to use Maya or do I want to try to learn Blender because Blender is free and more people use it, and I probably can't go on using Maya forever because...
Well, I'm just saying, you have her there. She's probably going to just try to literally drag you under the bed like, come here, bitch, we Blender!
Yeah, exactly, it's open source. Like, I downloaded Unity today. For that reason, I downloaded Unity to look at VR chat stuff because it's free. Yeah, and Blender is free. So I am a very stubborn person who is like, I like to stick with what I know, and I know how to use Maya, and I don't know how to use Blender, but it's probably gonna have to be a, like, rip off the band-aid situation of just fucking learn Blender, it'll be better in the long run.
A friend of mine posted up art of a character they drew for someone else for commissions, and I've already seen that they've changed it to their profile picture. It's like, you liked it then. That's Look, Blue, we have Christmas. We'll talk. Let's leave it there. We'll talk. Leave it there.
I have made some awesome friends in VR chat. They're lovely people. I'm very gradually infecting them with the D&D bug. It's all going to plan.
I have also got to say that Stacey has that idea of like, well, learning Blender here could be fun, but also
that is true.
You could drag me into VR chat in Twitch and just go, I'm trying to film my face. But,
that is true. I think I spoke about it with Curls once. It was something that I was considering of maybe I can do it on art stream nights because obviously I consider that, the only rule for art stream nights is you do something creative, and that definitely falls under the creative thing. So it is on the table of I may actually go do it at some point, and then it'll be a teething period of trying to learn the program, translating the skills that I already know from Maya into a new program, and then once I'm past that of like, cool, let's make stuff.
Honestly, like, it is also a very fair point to say is that if you don't have anything you want to do at the time, like, I don't want to make this, I want to make that, or I want to, like, make a new project, you can just practice it in that new system until you get a itch and go from there. But to back on the other one of, like, an RTS for Runeterra is such an easy slot, and you could have, like, custom events where it's like, oh, your army is passing through Shurima. Are you going quietly? No. Okay, then. You have a combat encounter with Rek'Sai, then. Because, Dune. You moved an army through Shurima? Giant fucking void worm thing. She's gonna come out and eat your ass. And I looked at her card in Legends of Runeterra for, like, a comparison size, and there's, like, a camel floating next to her face where she knocked it up in the air. It's like, she's fucking massive.
I feel like maybe I've told you this before, but there's a YouTube channel called Subjectively, which I originally started watching for their Pokemon content, but one of the main people on it is a big League of Legends fan, and they're now doing like a series where they basically talk about league champions that they like, and they redesign them.
I was gonna say, I just YouTubed them, and I see pseudo legendaries and then redesigning Cho'Gath,
Yes.
one of my favorite monsters.
That's the thing. I don't play League, and generally I'm not really a huge fan of it, mainly just because of the fan base. But I watch all of their subjectively things about it because they talk in depth about the character lore and the character design and how you can reflect that lore in their design, and it's just really well thought out. And I would recommend that you watch them. I'm sure you will love them because the guy says that League is like his favorite game, and it's just a case of like, I love this game and I want it to be better. Is like how. So I would 100% recommend that you watch all of their videos. They redefine Shyvana, I believe, is one of the ones that he does.
That's very good. I think he was referenced by TV Sky, because I do watch TV Sky, someone who Stacy watches quite a lot. And he actually has commissioned artists on several occasions to redraw a character. So redesigning it and going, well, what if this character, but instead this?
Yeah. So I mean, the Cho'Gath is a good example because they're like he spends a minute to look like, this concept art got released of like what the Void actually looks like, and that doesn't really match up with how the Void champions are, because the Void is meant to be like, eldritch horror, understandable, not you can't identify it. But when you look at all the champions, they're just kind of insecty, which isn't the same thing.
Yeah.
So they're like, we'll try to keep some of the original.
They've changed the rules of the Void, because the Void previously was, you didn't really know what it was. But the problem as well is that with the Void, or with characters in League of Legends, we had no like size comparisons. For example, Kog'Maw, he's the guy who eats people apparently, but all his attacks in game are him just vomiting stuff at people. And he's the one, he's like joke animation is him going, but with his like mouth appendage.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Kha'Zix, and the bug's so powerful he broke the meta because he literally changed how jungling was done at the time of his release. But he was like, he's like, what would happen if Alien had an attitude? Because he and Rengar, of course, are Alien versus Predator, so much so that their skins match it. And they're an awesome like pairing as well, but they don't really match what they're doing nowadays with the Void.
Yeah, that's so that's something that kind of what they address in the episode of like, the Void has now changed in what it means, so we're going to incorporate that in our new design.
Yeah, like Cho'Gath, from what his original lore was, I don't know what they've changed of him, but in his original lore, Cho'Gath was, and I think that they is better because that does not have a gender.
Yeah, obviously.
Cho'Gath is so unstoppable. Like, it took all of the original lore was like, the League of Legends was an actual thing in Runeterra, and when Cho'Gath appeared, all the summoners appeared and just bound him and put him in there so that he was less of a threat. But he's nearly meant to be as much of a threat as Baron Nashor is, and Baron Nashor, like from the old lore, I don't even know what they are nowadays, but Baron Nashor at the time is like, a shard of them is used to summon the real, like a pseudo Baron Nashor in the actual map, but real Baron Nashor is like a world ender in the threat he is in the real world. So like Cho'Gath is meant to be like that kind of titanic, destructive, can consume damn near anything sort of threat, and is like all disruptive in like its spiking attack and its breath, and it can start spikes of itself. It's honestly, it's a cool Trask size or Trask style all-consuming monster. If they get redesigned for modern Void stuff and like some of their abilities change, I think they're going to be a really good character.
Yeah, watch the video, watch all of them. I think you'll like them.
Yeah, I think I will. I have them up there. I have another one as well. I saw that they're doing a redesign of Gragas, who is a character who is memed about how badly he needs a redesign. And honestly, like, I'm already seeing that they're using like references for Braum in it, and I'm like, yes, because Gragas being like, a traveling person who aids people in the Freljord, and has like, that iconic barrel, that cast. I don't think they're really going to change that, because he is based on the...
No, they did, subjectively did do him. And again, they actually were like, okay, well, this is his design currently, but we're going to actually read his lore. And they were like, oh, there's loads of stuff in his lore that just isn't reflected in his design as well. It says, like, in the lore, like, he found this enchanted ice shard, and, like,
He
this...
put it in the drink,
Yeah.
and it basically constantly always gets him.
Yeah, and it kind of, like, corrupts him a little bit, so they were like, cool, we're gonna start incorporating this iciness into his design more.
Because the Iceborne exist in Freljord, and they're like, you know, Lysandra, as Trips would say, the ass bitch. They're her faction in there. But the fact that he's slightly corrupted, but he's still his own agency, says more about him because he's meant to be just a man. But now he's, like, the way he's bulked up and increased in size because of the way he's drank it, implies that he's now, like, of a Braum size power and bulk. So, like, you could imagine, like, a brawl fight between Gragas and Braum, and it's like everyone else who is not, you know, 9 foot tall and built like a fucking freight train gets the fuck out the way. It is like actually it'd be an interesting comparison if they make Gragas, if they, because they will eventually redesign it, but if they make Gragas more like a bulky, brutish kind of character, like, yeah, they can be nice, but when they get drunker and like riled up, and if someone says the wrong thing, they get violent. Having them like a almost like a parallel of a mortal style Volibear, with Braum being much more like what's the name of the Oxenstyles Smith character? Or I think it's no, it's not Orum. It's an old something name, but I'm forgetting it now. Hang on, gotta Google it now. Ornn, I wasn't far off. He's got like the ram goat head character, and yeah, Ornn, honey, you're right. Ornn is like a benevolent helper and will aid people, but often fights with Volibear a lot because Volibear is like, no, the savage barbarian whose beating heart is the will to survive is better than this comfortableness you have, because when a threat comes to you, you can't answer it. So Orm wants to help people. Volibear wants to make people help themselves by forcing them and removing what they had as a security to make them have to fight to survive and have that bloody, beaten heart in their chest and that will and that fire. Whereas Ornn is about the fire of the heart and helping people all live. You know, it's not just survival of the fittest. But Volibear or Gragas could become like a violent, brutish kind of human style of like everyone here is weak compared to me, whereas Braum is always there as a Braum, I think, notoriously doesn't drink. He drinks milk and only milk, and that's like one of his like charming things of like, no, he's like the big uncle character who will always be there to help you. And I know that there's like a cinematic or a trailer where Braum refers to someone as their cousin. I don't believe that's his actual cousin. I think that's just like he refers. Everyone is my cousin. You are my cousin. He is my cousin. You're all cousin.
Yeah.
It's like a big, endearing, sweet way. But like, you can make Gragas like this more corrupted and violent guy if you wanted to, or like not violent, but you know, if he drinks too much, like as a very easy example, as like a flaw of humanity, too much of one thing and the excess of it. Like, actually, that's one. Gragas could have a really interesting narrative with Tahm Kench, who's all about making people go into excess and go too far. But Tahm Kench doesn't realize that Gragas can just keep drinking. So he never reaches the point where he gets too drunk to be like corrupted, because no, I know you're fucking with me. That's why Twisted Fate and Jax can never beat him in card games, because Jax and Twisted Fate actually do play Gragas in card games a few times. They're meant to be drinking buddies, and it's like, that's a small bit of lore they had old times. Could be really endearing to see. It'd be fun, it'd be simple, you wouldn't need to add much to the lore to have that reoccur. And Jax is another guy, like a really old character, but apparently like he's from the city apparently that did hold out against the original Void assaults in the lands of Shurima. And like the torch he has, like that, the original stuff they had of it was like, Jax was so OP he actually got banned on his release. And the joke was that the summoners actually stopped Jax from entering fights because he could kill people with like a bow staff or a sword or a flail. And Jack straight up went outside, ripped a lamppost off the ground, and said, "I bet you could beat anyone with this as a handicap." He wasn't using an actual weapon, and he did consistently, which is where the meme of "imagine if I had a real weapon." But the torch he has is apparently meant to be like a magical torch from that ancient period that can very easily ward off or beat the ever-loving piss out of void creatures with. And he's meant to have lived all this time and be this super old, powerful warrior now. Like, his lore and his design desperately need an upgrade, because people think that he's some sort of sand troll because of his 3 fingers. And are curious, like, what lore that could entail with him. Like, yeah, you have a lot of... He has such cool narratives and so cool characters that you get so invested and wrapped up in. And it's like, why are you in a MOBA? Get out of there!
Yeah, considering that we got onto the topic of League of Legends and you sort of went off on one for about an hour and a half.
My bad. My bad.
It was very endearing.
It's like, they have cool shit. Put it in other things. Like,
they're working on it.
yeah. In fairness, they are. I know Ruined King was not made by Riot themselves. They endorsed it, but someone else actually made it. Let's see. Ruined King. Who made it? Publisher was by Riot, but it was Airship Syndicate was the developer, and has received really, really positive reactions. To no one's surprise, Laura Bailey voices Misfortune. And Matthew Mercer voices Gangplank, which he's done for several years. They have Pyke show up in the game, and Pyke it's interesting how they present him, because they use the character of Alawi. Alawi is she moves the plot, because Nagake Boros, which is her goddess, there's like essentially a trial they do, like a trial of the soul.
You're going off again, Das.
Yeah, I know. But the character, how they present it, how they build it, that's actually a really good example where they use Nagake Boris' trial to make the voices of the deep quiet for Pyke, so that Pyke can actually work with them. Because in his mind and the way he rationalizes it, because he has that list of people he has to kill, but the list keeps getting longer. Every time he kills someone, the list keeps getting longer. Like, everyone he's encountering, except for Braum, funnily enough, because he makes a comment, is on the list. He's like, "No, Braum, you're not on the list." Either of a case of he knows he can't kill a pseudo Freljordian demigod, or because Braum is too stupid to have ever been put on a ship with Pyke. And Pyke goes, "No, you're a fucking idiot. I would never have you on my ship. You're that bad a sailor. There's no way you were on that crew." And you got guys like Nautilus, who's like the ancient titan. So they can do so much. I can't wait for it. Like, you could actually do like a horror game based in Bilgewater, because it's right next to the Shadow Isles. The Shadow Isles, of course, the undead spookies, so easy to use. Thresh could be a really easy villain in that. But you could also have like an abstract horror, because there's a lot of nasty monsters in the depths around Bilgewater. Like, for example, what happens if Fizz, the trickster, steals a coin from your ship that you flicked overboard, or your captain did, so that you could pay the tide that you left? What if Fizz takes that, so the tide's never paid, and Nautilus comes for your ship, and his anchor goes up, breaks your mast, and drags the whole ship down in one pull? You could make so much, like a first-person horror with that. Really cool. Pyke chasing after people, or chasing after you, and you have to literally throw people for him to kill first before he gets to you. You could have so much cool fun with it as a horror game. Let's be real. Look at half the hot anime characters of that game and tell me you couldn't make a dating sim. You could do so much with it. Just like WoW, actually. It's like, the less Blizzard has to do with this right now, the better. The less Riot does with that right now, the better. Give it to people. Let them work with your IP.
collectively the games industry is just taking away all these IPs from their original creators, going, you can have them back when you behave.
Everyone looks at Yoshi P. No, you keep Yoshi.
No, you're good. Not you can stay.
Yeah, the fucking Mr. Krabs meme. Alright, Scram, only to get out of here. Go, go, go. Not you, you stay. And it's just like, instead of the clown noise,
Lahi. But specifically, it's the soundbite of Soken saying Lahi.
Exactly that. Man, I fucking love it. Did you see anything that happened with League's Ruination content they recently did in the game?
No, I told you I don't actually play League or follow any of their stuff.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you followed it because it was one of those things, but it was one of those, do so many quests or do so many games as this character, or so many takedowns as this character to unlock progression kind of thing. And then they like gave a slideshow, like chatty RPG kind of thing as it went. It bombed hard because they really didn't use as much of it as they could, in that way of like, well, I mentioned earlier about how a narrative has to rely on what it already establishes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you don't know much about it, you know Yorick Mori, who was like the big grave digger guy, has stuff to do in the Shadow Isles. When you know his lore, you know he's actively fought Viego countless times to stop the Shadow Isles from expanding and controlling more. He shows up for one scene, and it's a minor scene. It's not even like the fight versus Viego. Like, that's a character who should be showing up and is actively the most capable person at restraining or controlling it. Like, you could have had a really cool narrative of, here's Yorick desperately trying to perform this ritual with all of your help from the Sentinel's flight. And you'll have to stop Viego. There you go. There's a really cool narrative. We know what it's like from D&D, where you're like, okay, here's an NPC who's controlling the MacGuffin. Protect that NPC. Immediately, you could have a cool narrative with it.
Yeah.
And you could compel people with it. Didn't do it. The cinematic they did, because they realized it kind of flopped. The cinematic was kind of poor. The only thing they did that was really, really good was Sentinel Graves, because he just turns into a fucking himbo cowboy. Like, Pantheon gets turned into the Ruination. You know, Pantheon has like a massive scar on his chest and wears no shirt. Viego wears no shirt. The ghouls, of course, are clothesless. He just like looks around and once in and goes, "Do none of y'all wear a shirt? You're a king. How you not own a shirt?" Just shouts it out to all of them. Makes his mad proclamations. He's funny. He's a goofy character. But they don't even use all the Sentinels in the end cinematics. They could have done more. And they're Riot. They can. Hey, speaking of a bitch we all want to kill, talked about Viego. Now we're talking about Mara.
Yeah, Typhlosion's done.
Yeah.
Because Typhlosion is done, I am gonna go make a cup of tea, I think.
Heck yeah, Batman.
So keep talking about League, if you feel free, because you know, it's probably about the same amount of input that I was having in the conversation anyway.
Oh, really? Why do you invite me? I'm an asshole.
It's very endearing. It's very endearing. Alright, I'll be back stream. See you in a bit.
We'll behave, I promise. We'll behave. It's gonna be so fun. I really want to watch her do stuff in Shadowbringers because I want to watch her cry. Oh, Blue, it's gonna get you. I can't talk anymore about it, but you get the idea. Yeah, I think there's a very big importance lately of people enjoying a narrative, but also the narrative has to treat them with enough respect. Of, here's the most important point of lore from Final Fantasy or from WoW, and WoW will go, oh, it's not going to be this for the next 10 years. We're going to change it. Whereas Final Fantasy will go, hey, here's this really It's, you know, it's innocuous. We're explaining it now for the point of explanation, but here is this bit of lore, and it will carry and still make a point years from now. And that will never go away. Nor should it. But a game that doesn't respect its own narrative, but still wants people to spend dozens upon dozens of hours of their time invested in it, grinding it, developing in it, and going, oh yeah, none of that narrative mattered. Why the fuck would I play your game? If you're not going to treat me with respect, you're not going to treat your narrative with respect, why would I care? They can do better, and people like Riot and Blizzard can afford to do better. Endearing winter art. Ooh, big Chungus. Look at that big Chungus Joe. Hello, sir. Would you like a blanket? I'll be your blanket. Oh, piss. That was fucking... I did one of Howling... I... when I needed to do one of Angha Khan instead. Shit. I clicked the wrong thingy. I'll just be a free 9 times, it's fine. Free, give me your fucking lunch money. Anyone who's curious, I'm doing my Wondrous Tales in Final Fantasy XIV. You turn it in, you get half of a level's worth of experience on the bank. It's really easy to do.
Ours ain't the kind of place to raise your kids. In fact, it's cold as hell.
Actually, honey, I'd say even further than just minions. Collectibles in the game are... The collectibles that are super rare are very super rare. And the collectibles that aren't. But also, they're yours. And you feel like, hey, that's mine. And I earned that because I did something for it. Be it you ground or grinded Efreet 20 times to get like a mini Efreet that walks around going, I am fire, I am death, or something. You had to do something to earn it. In WoW, it feels like you either buy it with real money, or you spend 6 hours grinding it. In FF, nothing feels like a grind unless you... Like right now, I'm doing my Wondrous Tales. In Wondrous Tales, they give me so many options to do these alternatives. Like, I could go, hey, I want to just beat the shit out of Efreet 9 times in a row. Or I want to decide, hey, instead of beating Efreet 9 times in a row, I could also do this set of dungeons, this many of these kind of challenges, and all these extreme trials, and count that as a win. Like, I don't have to do one thing, but I can complete what's late game. Like, I'm level 86 on Paladin. I could get half of level 87. I could get to level 88 in an hour between my Wondrous Tales and my dailies and the like and all these other wonderful things. Very easily. Ah, welcome back. And
Hello,
I was
stream.
talking absolute shit while you were gone.
I know. Wireless headset.
Yeah, you poor bitch. You had no reprieve.
It comes with a mute button, I just chose not to.
Ugh, fair.
Hey, if you want to, it's your turn to go and stand up and stretch and refill and get a cup of tea or whatever.
Actually,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, my back. I'm old.
Right.
Oh, Kay's chatted in the Endwalker chat 4 times in a row.
He's doing well then.
Let's see. Oh, there's an incredibly long duty that they're making easier. I shit you not, it took about 30 minutes. So they're actually making it easier. Now, there are saved points in a lot of more recent stuff.
Dasco, have your break.
Ow. Fuck. Back.
Hello, chat. It's just me now. How are we? Where are my gloves? I took my gloves off. Very sweet. But when people are invested in something and they like to talk about it, it's adorable. Right. Excuse me. Right, we're back with this for a little bit, because I don't feel like starting something new, so we're gonna fidget with this. And if you can't tell from me zooming in, I'm going to be addressing this lovely pile of meat that we have in the corner. I just realised that shuffle wasn't on again. I have a habit of doing that. I'm meant to be on shuffle. I've almost gone the entire night listening to this playlist in order. See how low res this is because I upscaled it. Everybody wants to rule the world. There's a room where light won't find you. Hold your hands while the walls come tumbling down. You do, I'll be right behind you. There he be.
Pretend. Here comes the bastard, motherfucker.
Look, we said earlier in the stream that we weren't going to talk about Crumble. We told him to get the frick out of here. He's trying to weasel his way into both of our brains, and neither of us are having it.
The thing I was talking about though with the duties actually made me think of something when I was going downstairs. So Blue, I have a query for you, a pondering.
Uh-huh.
Games and a lot of things lately, especially like spoiler, hey, don't talk about that spoiler kind of stuff. Lately, a lot of those kind of things have been like, oh, you can't talk about that because it spoils the event, because the plot twist is the most crucial thing of the narrative. When was the last, in a game or a show or a film you watched, when was the last good plot twist you've seen?
Yeah.
I'm actually asking you. If you could think of one, when was the last time you saw a plot twist and went, oh, that's a good thing? I didn't see it coming, but it's good.
I'm trying to think what the most recent one was. I mean, I can think of ones that I like, but I'm trying to think what the most recent one was. I feel like there was a recent one, but obviously it wasn't that groundbreaking if I can't remember what it was. I am struggling to remember what it was.
Sure, look, even the one that you can think of is the first one that comes to mind. If you can think of one, I thought you said you did.
As I can think of other ones, but they're not recent.
No, even think of like one that you can think of that was a good one.
People have heard me say this before, and I'm probably going to get laughed at, but Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
No, that's a good
Explorers of Time / Darkness. I want to play. It's another one that I want to play on stream so that you guys can understand why I hate Dust Noir so much. Obviously, because I go on about it so much, it's not a surprise to people. But playing through it the first time, you have no idea. Absolutely none.
You don't expect the plot twist to happen, but the plot twist, like the villain is an antagonist that you're like, oh, you asshole, you did this, or whichever it happens to be. The last one I had that I can talk about was probably Ralgo's Reach, with because I can talk about, there's loads of really good ones in Shadowbringers and in Endwalker so far. Like, oh my god, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do at the end Endwalker, because there's been so many times where I'm like, okay, this is the high of the, no, this is not the, okay, this is the high of the, no, that's also not the high, okay, this is the, okay, come on guys, when the fuck are you reaching your peak? This ride keeps going up. You go down a little bit, I'm like, okay, no, you're back up again, what the fuck?
Krusty wants out.
Yeah, I have made the meme. Mostly because there has been like, I don't want to be in the flesh tower, let me out. Ugh. But it's something I've noticed about FF in that I don't think I've ever seen somebody go back and play because it was seamless, yeah. Bioshock, because it does not take away from anything you already know, but it adds to it. And it's like, oh, would you kindly is a trigger word for you obeying a command. You've not had agency this whole time, but now you start to have agency. What do you do now? And would you kindly, like, that sentence alone, gamers know it. It's like the cake is alive.
Yeah, it's basically a trigger word at this point, isn't it,
yeah.
for a lot of gamers.
For us, for our party, it's like, you know, hello, my dear.
That's literally what it is. To like a lot of people, whether they realise it or not, that people do sort of add it into their games. So yes, 100%. Yeah. Basically saying hello, my dear is the same equivalent because it just triggers something.
Yeah, it's like when Carl says you all fall asleep. Tala.
Oh no.
Yeah, we all know. Uh-oh. But I've seen people, especially with, like, say, Final Fantasy XIV, go back and replay the narrative again. like just to do the narrative again. No other reason. And the narrative is so good, it's enjoyable to go through again, even at the sad part. And that is a credit to the game, that the narrative is so good you want to go back and play it again.
Yeah. And Kels
And I
is a
love the
key
game.
example. She was like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I finish Endwalker, and then she had a revelation. She was like, I can do New Game Plus.
Yeah, do it again. Like, it's very easy to say, hey, I'm just gonna play this game again because it's narratively very good. Like, the last time I played a New Game Plus was like Jak and Daxter.
Gestures at myself replaying Okami and just being there for the first 10 minutes and just being like, oh my god, I remember why this game is amazing.
Yeah. Like, for me, that's like Jak and Daxter, or Jak 2 Renegade. That was such a good game. I loved playing through it again. On the harder difficulty with more challenge, but the narrative was so fucking solid. Funnily enough, Blue, have you ever played Jak? Any of the Jak and Daxter games?
Nope.
Nope?
Nope.
I would recommend it,
Mm.
because Jak in Jak 2 is Tala. Because
Fair.
Jak in the first game is a mute, and is very well known as a silent protagonist. And Daxter goes to find him after he gets captured and says, would you say something? Justice was... I'm gonna kill Praxis! First words he ever says in any of the games is he's gonna kill someone. It's like, you're edgy stage as a child. Hello. And that is just like, it's a good character, it's a good narrative, love it. But I would play it through it again in a fucking heartbeat without any hesitation, because it's a good, satisfying narrative. I've seen so many shows, because I'm calling out a few films as well. There's plenty of films and plenty of shows that rely on the twist of plot of, oh, this was this whole time, to ruin it for you. Because, not ruin it, because I don't think that's fair, but you can't enjoy the stuff that came before again, because now you know the twist, and the twist takes away from it.
Yeah.
Twist should only ever add. Like Stacy's perfect example of Would You Kindly. That was a twist. That if you ever were to go back and play it again, you will now be aware of, shit, this is when he really wanted me to do this again. Fuck. Like another really good game one would be where Handsome Jack in Borderlands shoots the protagonist from the first game in the back and goes, sup? Like immediately it's like, oh fuck Jack, you son of a bitch, we didn't see that coming. But also it makes perfect narrative sense that he would go, I'm gonna fucking kill you, you just killed his daughter.
Yeah.
What's Stacy saying? Yeah, honey. Stacy, this is why people give out to you when you spoil stuff for yourself, because you then go, oh, the narrative's a bit jarring. It's like, of course it's jarring. You've not watched all the 600 steps they took so that this would make sense. Like, rather than saying, oh, buy the book and read that narrative and you'll figure it out, or, oh, you can interpret this from these clues we, like, set up. Like, no, we are setting up groundwork and paying off the groundwork later. And then we're building on what we paid off on for more groundwork for the next thing. And building on, like, a line. Because I always describe Final Fantasy XIV, its narrative is a line. It's a, like, its main story is a line. You can trace back all the way to A Realm Reborn.
Oh yeah.
Whereas in, for example, Warcraft, we didn't have a real lore on, or like a real plot until Wrath of the Lich King, where it's like, oh, the Lich King has just attacked all the nations of the world simultaneously.
Yeah.
Go kill it.
Yeah, I said I've said this a few times. Like playing FF after coming from WoW is like just such a stark difference, because in WoW, when you make a new character and it's like, oh, you've made a new character, okay, level them up, to like level 50, and then we'll start giving you actual interesting things to do. Whereas in Final Fantasy, from the get-go, it's like, here is story, it is relevant and it is important.
And also, the game is very, very aware of, like, do we want to make you just another hero? No, no, no. You are the warrior of light.
You're the hero.
You are the hero of the narrative, and the game is not afraid to say you are the hero of the narrative. And you get the importance of it, and also then the explanation of, like, as I've said before on things where it's like, Warcraft will go, champion, you must help us. It's like, how am I a champion? What has defined me compared to the average Joe? You could have 6 Johns up here. The 6 Johns could be doing my job. But in this, it's like, no, you are the warrior of light. And a lot of people have the canons of, well, my character in the canon world is not the warrior of light. My guy is the best friend of a warrior of light, or the lover of a warrior of light.
Yeah, but that's the head canon. The actual game is the game is presented to you.
The game as presented is you are the warrior of light, but the narrative as well is, I think they do not dismiss like that. Like there's actually like a comment made a while into Shadowbringers. It's not spoilery, so I don't mind saying. It's more like this thing is happening in Eorzea. The free companies will handle it. And it's like, oh yeah, because there's a bunch of other really capable people, and that's their way of saying, well, we plucked you. You are taken for this narrative. Whereas all the other people? Well, they're doing all of that. There we go. There's a perfect explanation for what they're doing and what's going on. You have like guys like Emmerich and Raban, and like the free companies as an established lore point that there are people who are adventuring heroes in the setting all go around and do these things that you might not be up, like you are above doing, but you can go do in side content because they say, okay, you're doing this instead. You're off fighting, Vegeta at the end of the arc, and here's everyone who's kicking the shit out of his moods, Like nobody else could take on Vegeta. So whilst they're all slapping around his moods, you fight him. Delicious meat, forbidden meat.
It is very bidden meat.
We know it's bidden, but I bid it not. I bid it fuck off. Also, one thing my only real complaint I have of doing Trudane as a Viera, I don't get cool helmets anymore. It is heartbreaking how many cool helmets I can't have anymore. It's like, I want a cool helmet. A lot of those kind of narratives, though, where they're like, oh yeah, this makes sense, or we're establishing this. Then there's others where it's like, oh, that was changing that. No, that doesn't exist anymore, buddy. Sorry. Like the key example of, oh yeah, Sylvanas actually didn't care about the people there. She was using them for a means for her end. It's like, congratulations, this, 17 years worth of commitment you have to these characters. If you've been this way, gone. Fuck off me. I'm doing a dungeon right now, and in the dungeon, a boss uses a mechanic on you. That mechanic becomes a plot point. In like a much later, you don't see it coming sort of thing. And that's it respecting its narrative, where it's like, yeah, this is being used now in the future. Because it exists as part of the world. It wasn't just a cool one-stop boss encounter. And that's awesome!
Yeah.
And it's how it should be. It's enabled in the world, presented out as narrative. Like, I would actually go back and maybe even play a Realm Reborn's. I'm not sure if you have to do from a Realm Reborn or if you can like choose when you go back in, but I know like Jesse does it. I know Shenpai does, Strippin, a bunch of people who are big into it right now do it, and that's just a good narrative, my gamer. Like,
Hello.
I look at games like the oh baby. Do we hear a child?
Baby.
Smug child.
Haha, I am no longer tethered to the computer. I can stand up and grab you. Here she is. Hello.
comes the gremlin. Hello, babies.
She wants to escape.
Baby mother.
Tolerate scritches. Tolerate the scritches.
You cannot control me, okay? I'll give you a little bit of control, but I'm still in charge.
Still in charge. Ow, 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 claws.
She's like, hey, bitch. You think you're in charge? Remind.
Best not be making noise. Mind you, I'm probably making more noise than you are. Go on then, go on to chair. Yes, there we go.
What I am thinking a lot about lately is like having played Shadowbringers pretty much since our last real episodes of Flight of Princes. I'm looking at that going, I've been inspired by this. Of course, I'm not going to change my narrative to like steal from it, but I'm looking at it going, I want to do stuff like this because this was good. I want to make people think like this with my games.
Mm-hmm. That's the good stuff right there.
I want this reaction to these characters. Like, if I had a major character fade to black on a scene, I want the players to be invested in it. I want, oh, did the dastardly villain like shoot someone in the back a la Jack? And everyone's like, I want his ass, I want his ass, I want his ass. Like, good, I've invested you, one, in the character that you lost, and two, in the villain. I want to do that again. Oh, I almost said what dungeon I'm in and that, and I'm like, oh wait, no, this is still spoilers. Shit. Come here, you prick. Speaking of people I want to slap. Oh no. The boss turned around and the healer was stood behind me. The cleave hit the healer. The healer went to 0. We ain't got a red mage, we got 2 dancers.
Rip.
And one of the dancers was too close to the AoE and exploded. My boys.
Rip.
None of you should be close to this guy. It is set up in lore, he's a hard motherfucker. What are you doing? If a game ever wanted to emphasize to you, like, you should not fight this guy, you are going to die, it's this. To the group I say, no more hugging the boss. Like, you don't need to be this close. You are dancers and a healer.
Yeah, dancer. Ranged. Why are you hugging?
Like, but it's the character. I'm like, no touchy. No touchies. Damn it. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. It's the mechanic. He wants you to be close so he can do it. He wants to run you through with his sword in more ways than one. Behave.
Meh. Yes, I know. Meh.
I'm pulling him to the corner so they stop it. Stop chasing him! Healer, are you mad? Stop going in front of the boss when he's doing his leave! What are you doing? One thing I do like is they've made one of the later level paladin abilities now makes either your ranged damage attack or a heal instant.
Mm.
And the heal works on yourself and an ally, so you have that benefit.
Okay.
So paladins have kind of become pseudo healers, but much more reliable because now you have a way of like sinking all your mana, where like previously paladins usually didn't have that issue. And now, you know, like there's that ability I've always used on you guys, cover.
Mm-hmm.
Now cover has an effect, or not cover, but the other abilities, like the one where I have like shields pop up around me, and then one where I use it to reduce damage you guys take. Now both reduce damage you guys take by more, and also either applies a heal to yourself, like a heal over time to yourself or me. So it's two really good uses of it. See what happens when you stop acting horny. We won, by the way. So I told them to stop being horny, and we won.
Go to horny jail.
No, he sent us to horny jail. It's called the Shadow Realm, Bimbo. Jimbo. That was it.
What?
I'm sending you to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo.
It is a very, very cursed meme where someone made Jimmy Neutron's dad.
I know, I'm aware of the meme. It was your original version
Yeah,
of it.
I said the wrong thing.
You said the wrong thing, and it vastly confused me.
Yeah. I apologize. I was referring to the boss. Anyone who knows who I was fighting knows who I was fighting and why I called them a bimbo. Even if it's a guy. Bimbo of heart. Dirty bastard. As always, hey, I'll do this art thing while I'm here with you, and it'll be really good. 20 minutes in, bored now, play fit to come. speaking of games that have usually had plot twists in them, have you seen anything about let's say SCP, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach?
I've been watching Mark's playthrough. I'm only on episode 5, so I haven't seen like the most recent 2 that he's put out. All in all, like, I'm very interested in the lore side of things, but I keep getting distracted that from a game perspective, it's not the greatest, in my opinion.
No.
It's not the greatest. That's so weird. We manifested this. Ollie just started playing it. Manifest destiny. That was weird. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I'm very interested in the bits of lore, but game wise,
It feels like it's like they were told you have to stick to a script.
it's a little
And-
lacking in areas.
Yeah, it's a little boring. They could have done more, but honestly, they went from like gifs jumping into your face and several just like blank images to, hey, here is an interactive world you get to go into with it. Which, if you're looking at it as like, okay, you made a very cool interactive world in that it's gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, it's
More
cool,
not
but it
active.
feels directionless.
Yeah, it does. And I've already seen that there are multiple endings. But they're based on what you do. So there's multiple choice, and what you do actually changes where you go. So Mark's playthrough could be different to someone else's.
Fair enough. I'll just wait for MatPat to inevitably unpack it all.
I'm watching Super Horror Mike, actually. He did a playthrough, but now he's going back and going, I'm going to get all the endings. So I'm going to get the endings involving this character. I'm going to get the ending where you do all of this. I'm going to try and get a 3-star ending, so on. I love Super Horror Mike, but it's one of those things of, okay, we get it. We need to stop saying guys, though. Every, like, oh, guys, that was so scary. It's like, guys. Like, oh, man, I love you. You do good content. You need a swear jar, but just for the word man. If I had a swear jar and just in general, I've already funded my new fucking house and apartment. Point taken. MatPat, and I swear here is a
I mean, it's because they've all got face paint on because they're meant to be like rock stars.
yeah, like like the glam rock style characters, yeah. And honestly, going for glam rock of all things, cool concept. Not a overly used setting concept, especially when it's like, I've just accepted that this world is kind of akin to Fallout in that it's perpetually in like this time setting. Like Fallout was like, oh, we are a century and a half ahead of like normal technology that we have right now in the modern world, but we still believe it's 1940. Like I prefer it. I think it's cool that they're like using stuff like that, and the character designs are gorgeous, of course. But
Yeah, like it's got a strong aesthetic, but the game itself feels directionless. Like, yeah, it looks nice, but there's no meat, ironically.
It's when there's meat in the endosuits that there's a problem usually, but this time it's actually the problem that it isn't
Yes.
there.
The concern is the lack of meat that is occurring here.
I hope they get to do something else in the future, because it from everything I've seen, because I've seen the endings, they could do more. Not with this narrative. Like, this narrative was like they had to tie off everything, so they tried to. Did they do it right? Will he always come back? Or whatever? Who knows?
Afton!
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and like this series will go on in like the year 2030, and that motherfucker will still be like leaning around in just like a fucking head in a jar, like fucking Futurama.
Yeah,
But
I mean that was
the body
basically the like quote unquote plot, the kind of like reveal at the end of the VR game that they did, the Help Wanted one, which was that, you know, oh, Afton was dead, but his consciousness survived and has, you know, has survived in this game and has like infected someone and has got back out into the world now. So he was dead, but he's been resurrected, and it's like, wow, this guy really cannot die. He wasn't joking. He does always come back.
From what I get, it's like maybe it was like you know, he downloaded a copy of his brain, so it's one of those things of it's not the same person, but it's a clone of the same person.
Yeah.
Which is now we're going into robo-cloning. Robo-cloning with furries.
Yeah, well, you know, freaking resonance or whatever they've called as like a thing in the FNAF universe, which is basically spirit energy. It's like a canon thing that's like the thing that powers all of the animatronics is like a physical thing, because again, it's in the books, but you wouldn't know.
Hey, we're tying it back to the start of our narrative.
Hey!
Like, put it in your fucking game.
Everything's a circle.
You said it, not me, motherfucker. I'm in the chat, but it wasn't me that said it this time.
Everything's a circle. Everything's a circle. Everything's a circle.
In the words of Poe, all these squares make a circle. All these squares make a circle.
All of these squares make a circle. All of these squares make a circle.
It is something that's kind of funny when it's like, oh yeah, Afton's back. Can you just imagine, like, if you could have like phoned I don't know how Gregory phones a friend to fucking Golden Freddy, but just goes, hey, you know that guy you're torturing? Yeah, he copy pasted and there's one up here. Just imagine that Golden Freddy poking his head out of hell, going, get the fuck back down here,
Nanny.
get the fuck back down here, you son of a bitch. What's the Star Wars from the Revenge of the Sith or Phantom Menace? Actually, excuse me. This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of him. They have gone back to the Well of Afton a lot. They do need to end it and move on. Like, we thought that fucking the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator was like the end. Should have been.
Yeah, even though it was a simulator, it was like the realization at the end of like, oh, what we're simulating is hell. This is hell.
This is hell, and that motherfucker's going there. He's getting an express ticket. That is just like a very raw line, though. I hope your souls will be free. Although, for one of you, the darkest depths of hell have opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend. It's like, fuck my man. I know he's burned alive and half dead in there, but fuck you, downright killed him this time. Apparently not. You know what.
Suffering from this fucker won't die syndrome. I'm very familiar with it.
What do you mean, my dear? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Stomps back on the ground, just stomp. Stay down there. Stop.
Damn it. That's why when it comes to Mara, it's like, oh, we get one wish. Can we wish to make sure that bitch doesn't come back at all?
Then this fucker won't die syndrome. It's a constant problem.
Look, DMs work very, very hard in their villains. We don't want to get rid of them. We want you to kill them, but we also are like, well, I had fun doing the funny voice.
It's fun to see your reaction.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Why do you think I still bring it out every now and again like a party favor? It's just like the anti-party favor. Everyone hears it and goes, no. Put it back. So in Markiplier's playthrough, has he only ever right now avoided the other animatronics, or has he ever had to quote unquote fight one?
No, he hasn't really like properly fought one. If there is like a proper like boss fight for them, he's currently he's got the blaster or camera, because I guess that's one of the options you can make. He has the blaster, and now he's like, oh, I can disable Chica by getting her in the crusher.
Ah, okay.
That's what he's trying to do. That he got all the way down there and activated the crusher, and then he was like, oh, I need a thing to lure her in. Do I make a pizza? And he was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I was sat there just like, well, if you actually read the things you were picking up, Mark, it said right there that she was attracted to this like weird Monty milkshake thing.
Yep.
Please read. But he's worked it out now.
Okay. Compress the chicken. Make a chicken pancake.
Making chicken pancakes, making chicken pancakes.
Pancakes.
Take the chicken and we'll put it in a pancake.
Take the compressor and fix the chicken. Enjoy compression chicken.
Enjoy compressed nugget.
Two-eyed mental Freddy, no tell Trash Monty about our relationship.
Delicious meaty chunks. I know. It's actually upsetting how good these meaty chunks look. It's actually slightly upsetting.
I do still love that narrative point where she presents the food, she presents the soup, and Tal just swipes them away, and she goes. She doesn't say it to you. Oh, it's a Douglas. Hello, Douglas. Look at that chunky meat. But I love the narrative point of she's like, hey, you should have some. And you just outright refuse. Mara then knows, okay, what am I going to be able to make her sink her teeth into?
It was very funny because it was meta in a sense, because not even in a sense, it literally was meta in that Tala was there, was like, throws food off the table, no, I'm not playing your game, and Mara literally stands there and goes, oh, I know how this goes, I'm the bad guy, and this is where you protest, and you throw a tantrum, and I was like, I'm being called out here, this is unfair.
Mara begins going on oh yes, you want my monologue because I'm the villain when we were in the temple. I was like, bitch, I don't give a fuck, get out my house. This is my mom's house, fuck off. Get out my mom.
And then things start to go south and you're like, Mom, can you come pick me up?
And then she does.
And then she did.
And my mom did show up, said, I bet. I know it's such a stupid thing. But I really wanted Curls to ever explain what Tenros's face was when she heard they shout, ah, my mom showed up! It's just I adopted him? That's the first time with the champion that's happened. Okay. I think the worst part about that, I would have very happily listened to all of Curls' monologue. Without fail, I would have listened to it all. I just gobbled it all up. If not for the fact that we were on a deadline. Where we knew she was trying to do something.
It's like, you are intentionally trying to stall us, and while we really want to listen to what you have to say, we're also smarter than that.
Yeah. Our characters are smart enough to go.
You're stalling. I will forever be proud of the fact that I've worked out the one loophole. And Curls was just literally just like so angry, and I was like, I did it smart! Yay!
You very much did.
I'm gonna be forever proud of that. Just like, I solved your blood puzzle.
Puzzle. Solve the bluzzle.
Bluzzle.
Forbidden bluzzles. But it was good, and again, like I said it to her, I'd love for Thane to ever have to actually speak to Mara. Just not when Mara's trying to open a portal to hell. Well, not a portal to hell, do you know what I mean?
Could you stop trying to open a portal to hell for 5 minutes?
Can you stop getting corrupted by Mara for 5 minutes? Thane, at everyone, except you, hurry, you're good. Everyone is holding Maeve's head. Mara, we have one broken lesbian here. We want to return it. Where's our lesbian? Give her back.
Yeah, that's gonna be so fun when we have to deal with that, because it's gonna be a case of like, I'm literally picturing like a freeze frame of literally just like Tala's jaws clamped around their head, and everyone's just like, no, and Tala's just there just like, I'ma fucking do it. I'ma fucking, give me one good reason why I don't fucking do this.
She's the only one who knows where Cordelia is.
Try again.
You said it's probably gonna be the only thing that would stop her. We'll lose Cordelia if you kill her. I don't know. Something.
I don't know, we'll think of something in the moment.
Whole person. I know what you're like with wisdom saves.
It's not fair.
Aha! Paralyze the dog. Now, we open the mouth a little bit after I take whatever fixation crystal this bitch has on and throw it away.
It's nice to think that we'll react that way, but really, if we're being, you know, not meta and true to character, the first thing we do is we're like, Zal, what the fuck are you doing?
It's established between me, Curls, and Kay that Thane has an idea.
Yeah, Thane would probably work it out. It's been established. It's been established multiple times by Tala that Tala is not the brightest.
No.
She's a point in direction, and she will go. So this will vary. There will probably, when it comes to like just a straight up fight, you know, as with when Mara appeared, it's a race of reactions because she has that reaction, but because of what she has seen, she will take time to process this because there isn't an immediate, you know, kill this thing. It's like, what the fuck has just happened? Whereas when it's like, oh, you're in a room and Mara's there, it's like, cool, don't need to think, I just attack. don't need brain. Whereas this probably requires a little bit of brain work, so there will actually be a slight pause of what?
I'm also going to raise the very fair point you add a character. You can kill her daughters all you want. They died loyal. How fucked would you think it'd be if we made her daughters work against her? How much do you think that would hurt her more?
Oh, I think it would probably be great, but Tala does not think that way. She is a...
No.
Tala is an equal sign.
Yeah. She is an equality symbol. Everyone is getting these hands.
So, no pressure to Kay, but he has to do some very quick explaining because, as has been iterated before as well, Tala listens more to Zal than she does to Thane and Hurry.
Yeah. It's also, he needs to do a lot more explaining because he just shot Cordelia. It's gonna be fun.
We won't have to deal with that for a while yet.
Nope. Till like late January, early February. And even then, we'll probably be doing pop before that. Who knows what'll happen? so close to 2 lines with Chloe. Shit. Also, Han, a fair point to say aloud. Everyone loves Hurry. Everyone kind of trusts Hurry at worst, or trusts Hurry entirely at best. Hurry is not good in a fight or flight situation.
Yes.
Panics, bless his heart. We love him, but he panics.
Poor boy.
There's something I want to do more though than disarm. I've said her name already, but I haven't said it in character to you yet. But Maeve.
Yeah,
is
we
the
know.
person who this is, yeah.
Yeah, we know.
Disarming her and just going, right, now we can have a conversation where you can't run away. That's what I wanted to happen. I did have a thought as well for a while, where I hide that Thane went and spoke to somebody else, and like let you guys potentially think that Thane actually went away and went to the devil, made a deal, and you know, like maybe he comes back and he's a lot less enthusiastic and he's quieter and he's more slow and there's no joy in him talking to you guys, like he gave away something. Like, that could have been fun, but also I would have had to have kept that up, and I'm too much of a bubbly bitch. I would not have. I am aware of my flaws. I am not Curls. I cannot hide shit. Popcorn, no, come back. Chad has probably seen me duck down multiple times because popcorn fell. And actually, because we were talking about it, do you want to talk about plot twists that work? Cordelia's plot twist where it's actually Maeve and we don't know how long it's been.
Yep.
It's like, ooh, that was good.
That was very good.
It's like, firstly, Curls, we love you. You're a bitch.
Yes.
That was good.
Also, thank you for being so generous and actually spelling it out for us because we're all dumb bitches.
Which, again, she says she rolled with Fenna.
Yeah.
Fenna rolled a 31, and it's like, Fenna would clock this first because Fenna knew her the longest. Here's the thing, and suddenly it all begins clocking immediately, whereas someone says, hey, something about Cordelia. It's like, shit. Now what do we do? Yeah, this is fun. Like, if we do get her back and all is well, we then have to look at, fuck do we do next? Because we could, you know, kill Maeve or lock her up or do something with her. But do we then go and find wherever Fenna's body is? Do we try to find Tala's mentor? What do we do?
Yeah, there's a lot of things on the table.
It's like, if you're looking at it from a meta perspective, the thing we'd want to do the most, which is probably the most dangerous, is find Fenna's body to get her soul and shimmy it back in there. Partially because something with immortal scales being, or immortal skin, the body that has got the immortal skin being around and being allowed to be used by someone else potentially, not good.
Nope, not good at all.
And that same person, now free of any curses they may have had, very, very helpful. Especially for all of our other goals. Like, hey, how do we get over the wall, then get into the city to save someone that Tala cares about? If only we had a dragon. That'd be handy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be great. Just fly straight over that. Huh.
Yeah, fly over that bitch. because to Astra's own estimate, it is difficult to teleport in there. So that could be a way to circumvent fish. The Bastage. Fair point from the Froggy. It is 11:15.
Oh wow, that went very quickly. Yeah, if we're being sensible, then we should stop.
I am a loud monkey. I am currently keeping you so entertained.
Yeah. I mean, probably gonna stay up for a bit, but at least come off the stream and.
You fool! No, you pulled more! Ah! Yeah, off the stream and just vibe for a bit. That's fair.
Yeah. Which is what we usually do.
I will probably do the same, yeah.
Yeah.
God,
Every time we like take a breath and like zoom out ever so slightly, I just have the same thought of it's very distressing how good this meat is. I've never painted meat before, and I'm upset with how good this is.
When someone draws not safe for work for the first time. I'm upset with how good this meat is.
goes into art discords, just like, look at the meat, look at my meat, it's very good. It's not safe for work, I promise.
Don't go into anyone's DM saying that, okay? You're going to get in trouble.
I know.
We are children at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I am just terrible. But we laugh because it is fun to laugh. I'm not going to say it here, but Curls let slip something about Mara she thought she had told me before in regards to like a detail about her past, and it's like, oh, so she's even more of a bitch. Good to know. I want to kill her more.
It's nice that we're in that very grey area of, I know a lot of things that I know you guys don't know, but some of you are starting to learn them now, so it's very much the grey area of, I might know what it is, but it might be something you don't know. I know a few things, and you know a few things, a little bit of crossover.
What do you know about her sons?
A reasonable amount, actually. Yeah.
You know how she said she hit the delete button on them.
She's not a nice person.
No. Me, who's already very protective of kids, and Thane, who I've made into a case of, hey, kids are kids, they need to be protected. And if you fuck up, you deserve a clap in the back of the head for it.
Thank you, Doug. You see, putting it so concisely.
Doug knows exactly what.
He knows what I'm getting at.
Picking up what I'm putting down, know what I mean? So no one's talking about. Me, who's playing Vlakith, who's actively captured multiple men from across the world and may have made them do terrible things. Vlakith, fuck, you need therapy. I keep thinking back to the fact that we're going to end up having boss battle with fucking Edmund, and it's gonna be messy, and I can't fucking wait.
Hell yeah.
I'm
Time
gonna kick them.
time to cut loose.
Oh, like it is straight up the Superman Darkseid interaction from Justice League the animated series. It's one of the best speeches of any Superman ever, and it's him fighting Darkseid saying, "I live in a world of cardboard." But like, it begins with Darkseid taunting Batman because Batman barely survives something he does, and goes, "You were just so weak and pathetic." Superman, for the first time, makes an actual really good hit on Darkseid and says, "That man won't stop until there is not a breath or bit of blood in his body." None of my teammates, but me, have a different problem. And then he proceeds to punch him through what is about 10 foot of wall. And they, you know why they go too dramatic with their punches, and it's like, oh, the world exploded, but you don't feel the impact of the world exploding, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, it's flare, but it doesn't like seeing like the Hulk, for example, fight, and the ground around him like becomes debris and rubble and falls everywhere. You get that impact of it. You're like, oh, that hit, and you can understand it. They did it right with this. And he begins explaining like the whole thing of, I am living in a world made of cardboard for me. I have to hold back every day of my life, not even letting loose for 1 second for fear of hurting someone. Something. Or what was it? He breaks something or someone. But you can take it. And it's what we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you how strong I really am. And he just fucking sends him into the fucking stratosphere. And you've probably seen Superman videos where he's doing a punch where he like flies up towards them and punches. They go ahead of him, catches up again, does another punch, gets in front of them with his arms folded, does a double axe handle over the head. It's a combo that was because of these animators that it existed. And that's all I want to do with Edmund, where it's like, I'm just gonna hit you as hard as I fucking can. I'm gonna make you feel pain. And it's gonna be fucking terrific to do. I can't wait for that with him. Because it's hilarious that he's still technically a human right now. So he's actually like...
Tap dancing over that line every day.
We know with the rich... Like, I know saying try to say it to Tala, and Tala just laughed at him, which doesn't help to RP off of you, I'm not gonna be honest.
Sorry.
For
Sorry.
sake of fairness, she's gotta kind of step away from that. It's like, wow, you're a bitch. Why am I helping you again?
It's fair. It's fair.
But the thing of, like, he's going to turn before Mara completes her ritual. So it's like, hey, he's the prelude. Gotta kill that son of a bitch before her. Because if he decides to show up and help his wife, I don't want to fight a Demon Lord and Mara Arena.
No, not a good combo.
For them, it's a great combo. For us, So, he can be fucked up in the same way a human can. He does have legendary resistances and the like, but we could whole person him. And make him have to, like, if he rolls badly, make him use legendary resistance. Or, if he fails it and he has none left, Edmund is held person whilst Tala, Thane, Hurry, and Zal are there going, you know what's scary? When one of us crits. What happens when all 4 of us crit? Guiding Bolt, Tala Claws, Smite! Every Daka in the heavens going down on him, going. Brrr. I think we'll all get a lot of catharsis out of fighting him, like to the point where I don't even know what the encounter with Mara is going to be like. Because of course, I thought our original encounter with Mara was going to be her in the flesh, and it wasn't.
It wasn't,
So
yeah.
it brings up the thing of like, what is that creative little wonderful deer we call Curls gonna think up with her, and I can't wait. Like, if you guys know a bit of meta lore about the Kith and the Gith, you might know what a Kith fight might look like. Oh yeah, Hurry can make Or you can decide, I'm not going to crit you. I'm going to make you vulnerable to whoever is going to crit you next. And everyone's like, alright, we're going to wait until Thane hits. And it's like, smite! Roll all the dice. Or Tally goes, I'm a cloudless bitch. You know what's worse about Edmund? And this is really dark. He's a better stepdad than their father was a father.
Hmm.
That's not a high hurdle,
It's not great.
but the fact he can clear it. It's like Thane saying, I'll be a better man than my father. And it's like, my man, you rolled out of bed and you cleared that hurdle. That's another one where I'm very excited to see what we do with it, because I've laughed with Curl several times about like the notion of Lairge Thane's father actually appearing in the Rustylands, like, you know, bragging about how great his son is. And she just said, I mean, you have Flair, who knows Thane and cares about him. You have Cordelia, who can ignore it if it happens as a queen. Like, that man can just disappear, and no one will say shit about it. We're just saying. It's like, what's worse is I'm very tempted by that, but if you do that, Thane then has to take over the family and can't leave Undulathorn anymore.
Yes. Problematic.
It's like Percy had the glory of having his sister back in Whitestone, and she could take over Whitestone while he was gone. Hey, I leveled up. Douglas, are you referring that people might make either Edmund or my father switch cheese? And by my father, I mean my character's father. Don't do anything to my father. Whatever you do, don't do anything to my father. I promise, don't do anything to my father. No, you should. You really shouldn't. No.
Shush.
I'm Dark. Hi, Dark. I'm Daz. Did I get a new ability at this level? I think I did. Oh, I did. Salt and Darkness. For the Dark Knight, all enemies standing.
Salt and pepper.
I'm already a salty bitch. I'm manifesting my saltiness to hurt people more. All enemies standing in salted earth take an additional 500 unexpected damage. Ooh. How much does salted earth do already? Oh, so it does 550 to everyone. And, oh, the first target takes 550. Everyone else does. Okay, so it basically means that everyone who gets hit by it, except for one guy, takes 250 more damage from a 50 damage dot. So it becomes a 300 damage blast instead. It's like, ooh, shit, son. I'll take that. That's well good. I'm happy with that. Can't wait for the Shadowbringer ability, though. That's gonna be fun. It's like, this is a line. Is someone standing in it? Yes. They're gonna be hurt.
Behold, delicious meaty chunks.
Tasty chunk.
Looks so good. Don't look at the plate that they're sat on. The plate looks like trash, but the meat. Look at the meat.
Don't worry about that with the plate. Might I suggest you cover it in blood? No one's gonna notice any of the details.
I haven't addressed the plate yet. The plate is in the state that the meat was an hour ago.
Yes, but the plate is still fine. Ooh, a bastard sword of divine light. I want to see what that looks like. Oh, it looks like shit. Never mind. It's one of those weird ones where, like, the sword's blade comes down as, like, the guard for the hilt. It's like, congratulations, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Okay. Okay, it's time to end the stream.
And strum. Can I time out core for that comment?
Awful. Awful. Right.
Disgusting.
Right, there is a very good chance that there will be no stream next week because it's Christmas.
Coming.
It's Christmas. We might do a stream. I don't know. It is that simple. I do not know. All I can say is look at Twitter, maybe be here around the usual time, and if nothing happens, then you're good. We have frog progress just before we finish.
Ooh, let's take a look.
Look at him.
Journey.
There he be.
Oh, the way that his antlers kind of come out, kind of is like they're supporting the top of the map of it as well. That's well cool.
Very nice.
Yeah. My girlfriend's showing up. She's a beast.
Heck yeah.
There's Blue's Twitter. Don't forget, you can hit the little notification bell.
Yeah, it's
Get a
down. It's down in
notification when she
in description. It's all good. Right. Take care, everybody.
posts. Much love.
I'm off the holiday, so I don't know if like random improv streams are gonna happen. If anything happens, it'll be on Twitter. So just follow me on Twitter. Why aren't you following me on Twitter? Dang it! Just follow me on Twitter. Just makes no sense. Just follow me on Twitter.
Who
It's
knows?
fine.
There might be a stream where she teaches me the way of the VR furry.
What do you mean stream? I'm doing that in 10 minutes, boy. Bye, everybody. Have a good Christmas if we don't see you, which we may not. And if we don't have a stream next week, that means that we might well see you in the new year. So have a good Christmas, have a good new year. Take care, stay safe. Love you all,
Yeah. Bye bye.
and take care. Bye bye. Mwah.